corridor in the last year. More from Tony Fisher.
The charity says the problem extends from the London Colney roundabout all the way to Hertford. It wants to see more enforcement and a change in the legislation in order to deal with horses fly grazing by the side of the road. In Wales, new laws have been introduced which give the local authority more powers to deal with the problem, but there's no such legislation in England.
Police are investigating how an 8-year-old boy died after coming off his bike in Hertfordshire. It happened on Monday evening at Macefield Avenue in Boreham Wood. The boy was taken to hospital but died shortly afterwards. Hertfordshire police are appealing for witnesses. An investigation is underway into the cause of a fire in Hertfordshire in which an elderly woman died. Firefighters tackled the blaze in a terraced house in Hampden Crescent in Cheshunt at around midday yesterday. Neighbouring homes were evacuated. Meanwhile, 2 people were led to safety by firefighters after a blaze at a house in Watford last night. Crews were called to Anglesey Road just before midnight. Buckinghamshire County Council is following Three Rivers' lead and putting up signs in parks and play areas asking people to avoid smoking. Earlier this year, young lungs at play signs were approved in southwest Hertfordshire. More from Jessica Cooper.
The signs in Buckinghamshire will be in parks and children's play areas as part of a pilot to reduce young people taking up smoking. Public health workers will also be working with schools to spread the message. In the Three Rivers, similar signs have been damaged, but the council says they've been taken down and replaced.
US Coast Guards have continued their search for the 4 British sailors who have been missing in the Atlantic since Friday. The operation was initially called off on Sunday, but then restarted after an online petition was signed by more than 200,000 people. In sport, England's cricketers have made a losing start to the summer, with Sri Lanka winning last night's 2020 International at the Oval by 9 runs. The weather, some bright spells, but showers this afternoon and heavier rain this evening, a maximum temperature 19 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
It's cuteness and the walks. There's brilliant walks. If you're a dog lover, it's a great place to be.
It's all about where you live.
We're a big mixture. A lot of people moved in, but I know people who've always lived here.
We're featuring Wendover.
You've got the Wendover Woods. It's a nicer community.
The big tour of beds, hearts and bucks. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning, sleepy eyes. Yeah, I said it. In a minute. I'm on my 3rd cup of cough, and it's only just 4 minutes past 6. I'm literally flying without a licence, dear listener. Où est le menu? Où est le menu? Dans la chambre. Unless Catherine's hidden it somewhere, as she often does, I've got no idea what's coming up on the show. So, there it is! The light flashes, the words appear. Oh, is that the best you could do? Child support, gypsy horses, and runaway peacocks. Thanks, Catherine! 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
I've put in a request, a song request. How are we doing, Kels? Oh, hey, whoa. Oh,
Hello?
yes.
Hi.
Well,
Good morning, Princess. Welcome to the morning.
how is the song request going?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm just looking...
Don't, because I've got a bit of a headache today, and I'm kind of feeling... can I tell you something?
Okay.
I've got a vibe on.
Hmm?
I've got a vibe on. No, don't laugh. Don't laugh, because... No, I've got a vibe on. And the reason is... I just... Didn't I say this in the office?
I don't know what it is you're going to say.
Good morning, Kelly.
Morning.
I said that in the office, didn't I?
You did.
I also said something significant is going to happen.
You did.
Can you not... There's something in the air.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, I thought it was going to be something... I said something great, and by great, I mean big, because then the example I came up with, Paul McCartney's... I don't know if he is, and I hope he doesn't. Something significant is happening. By the way, while I'm talking, this is filling while you look for the record. Something significant is going to happen. I want you, dear listener, and this really, we don't have many people listening at this time of day. Morning, Kath. Morning, Kath.
It's all right.
That's all right. Where you been?
Writing.
What you been writing?
Well, the menu a bit.
Well, you weren't writing the menu that much, were you?
Well, exactly. That was quickly bashed out. I didn't give the usual care and attention to it, but you did it all right.
Did Wally Webb this morning say that Freddie Mercury, he really knew how to knock one out?
Well, he did. I did.
Anyway, something significant is going to happen today. Not you as well.
What?
For goodness sakes.
Hi.
Something significant...
Oh, thanks for the coffee, Kelly.
You're welcome.
Something significant is going to happen today. No, don't take the mick, because it is.
How's that vibe?
That's the noise in my head all the time. I've got a vibe on, Kels.
There's a message from in the air, come from crazy horses riding everywhere. It's all morning, it's in every tongue. Got to stop them crazy horses on the run. What a show, there they go, smoking up the sky, yeah. Crazy horses, all got riders under you and I. Crazy horses, crazy horses, never stop and they never die. They just keep on pumping how they multiply. Crazy horses, will they never halt? If they keep on moving, then it's all a fall. What a show, there they go, smoking up the sky, yeah. Crazy horses, all got riders under you and So take a good look around, see what they've done, what they've done, they've done, they've done, they've done, they've done, they've done. Crazy horses, crazy horses, crazy horses, crazy horses.
Oh, I'm glad that's finished. Flippin' heck.
That was loud.
That was loud, wasn't it?
Really loud. I can hear it next door.
I've turned my headache into a migraine. Look at the sweat. I decided what I'm going to do with my life.
Oh, no.
I'm going to become a drummer.
Right.
I've got a garage.
Garage.
I'm going on eBay. I'm going to get a drum set.
Okay.
I'm going to become a drummer. And the only song I'm going to play is Crazy Horses by the Osmonds. Oh, I've gone a bit dizzy. Now, tens of thousands of divorced or separated parents are going to get a letter this week warning them they'll be charged if they have to involve what was the CSA in their child maintenance disputes. I'm still out of breath, bear with me. This summer, the Child Support Agency will be replaced by the Child Maintenance Service. The Department of Work and Pensions is warning it can no longer afford to get involved in every case automatically. So, if you want their help, you both have to pay, which seems a little odd. Catherine Boyle can tell us more. How did the old system work?
Well, the Child Support Agency was set up in the 90s to control payments for parents who don't have sole care of their children. And it has to be said, this happened with varying degrees of success. Over the years, we've taken many calls from parents, either telling us their ex was ignoring agreements and seeming to get away with it, and others who said they were being charged unreasonable amounts. The Department of Work and Pensions says the old system took responsibility away from the parents, but it came at huge expense to the taxpayer. That can't continue. continue. It says more than half of children living in separated families had any financial agreement in place.
So what's going to change?
Well, the government's replacing the CSA with the Child Maintenance Service. It says it's trying to encourage parents to take control of their own lives and reach their own agreements. In other words, they're backing off. Between now and 2017, parents on existing CSA schemes will be given notice that they're coming to an end. And those first letters are being sent out now, this week. 52,000 people will receive those. And those people are in this first tranche. And they're generally people who are making or receiving their payments on time. So they seem to be managing without any help. It's other people who'll notice a change, and this is what's enclosed in the letter. This information from the Department of Work and Pensions, telling people that if they have to intervene, and when I say they, I mean the Child Maintenance Service, from this summer, effectively chasing one side for payment. The person who's defaulted will incur a charge of 20% of the amount that they're looking for. But also, and this is what could set the cat amongst the pigeons, the person waiting for the payment will also have to stump up 4%.
The most vulnerable person who's in need of the money gets to pay a fee. That's handy. I'd imagine that's one of the reasons why some people are against it.
Yeah, and we're going to be speaking in about an hour's time to the single parents charity Gingerbread, but they've told us ahead of that many parents can agree private child maintenance agreements, but for some it just isn't possible unless they get help from a third party, in this case the government. They're worried that closing the CSA and enforcing charges will mean that some people will not make new child maintenance agreements, and ultimately children will lose out on the support they need.
Catherine Boyle, thank you very much. If you think you may be affected by these changes, or if you have an experience with the CSA, 08459 455 555. line 455 555. Something great, something significant is going to happen today. I don't necessarily mean on this show. You mark my words, at this time tomorrow, I'll be saying, I told you so.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, so far this morning, a rather quiet start, not seeing too many problems or delays. Taking a look at the M1, expecting some delays between junction 10A for the Kidneywood roundabout and junction 10 for Luton Airport because of major roadworks taking place there. Also, a contraflow in place. So far, having a look at public transport so far this morning, not seeing any reported problems or delays. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. 6:16. It's Wednesday, the 21st of May. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Thousands of single parents are receiving letters over the next few days warning them to agree child maintenance arrangements or pay a fee. That's under a new system after the Child Support Agency was replaced. The problem of traveller horses getting killed at the roadside in Hertfordshire is at crisis level, according to a charity. And in sport, England's cricketers have made a losing start to the summer, with Sri Lanka winning last night's 2020 international by 9 runs.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Every weekday from 12. Nick Coffer brings you...
Why did Wet 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 break up?
You know, it surprised me that it lasted so long, but I think there's always going to be something that trips you up.
Great guests.
And Milton Keynes charity is celebrating its 5th anniversary after changing many young people's lives.
Great music.
This is the Drifters kissing in the back row of the movies. Hello to Adam, who has messaged me, so I'm playing some great tunes today.
Great conversations.
I'm in the library in Houghton Regis as part of our big tour.
A lot of Houghton Regis was mainly 18th, 19th century. There was a big fire in the 1600s which burnt the village out.
Nick Coffer, weekdays from 12 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
08459 455 555 is the telephone number. Something's got me angry. Can I tell you what's got me angry? It's in a lot of the papers today. It's in some of the papers yesterday. All good choice of songs. It's got me angry that reports show that e-cigarettes are helping people stop smoking. The figure, it's 60% higher success rate in giving up smoking than other forms of giving up smoking.
Yeah, but it's helping them to get involved in e-cigarettes.
Hey, well spotted that girl. 5 points. You're top girl again. It's stopping you smoking cigarettes, but then you're smoking e-cigarettes, so you're still addicted to nicotine. Yeah, you're not smoking the thousands of chemicals and rubbish that are in cigarettes, and you're not inhaling the smoke into your lungs. But you're still smoking. You're still putting... They're all owned by the same people. It's still the cigarette companies that own these e-cigarette companies.
It's a replacement.
It's a replacement. If you're going to stop... I was really angry. It was on the radio last night, and then on the way in as well, it was on 5 Live. If you're going to stop smoking, you know the only way to do it? You stop smoking. You stop smoking. You don't have any of this nicotine gum or nicotine patches or anything like that. You just stop smoking.
I heard some great advice once from Al Pacino.
Sorry?
I think it was in The Scent of a Woman.
I thought he'd addressed you directly.
I felt like he did.
Hey, Kath, I got some great advice for you.
You're either a smoker or a non-smoker. Work out which one you are and stick to it.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not sure if that's advice.
Yeah, because there are some people who say, I only smoke on a weekend. And they are the worst ones because you're starting up all the time and you're determined to continue with that addiction. Yeah. So, decide what you want to do. Do you want to smell of it? Do you want to spend your money on that? Because they're expensive now, cigarettes.
They are very expensive. I'm against e-cigarettes. I'm going to come out and say it. I'm against e-cigarettes. And because they normalise smoking, they make it look acceptable for smoking. And all this stuff about, it's to get people off smoking. No, it's not. It's to make loads of money for, hey, guess what? The nicotine cigarette companies. But last night, listening to the radio and this morning, I realised I've lost the battle. I've lost the battle. E-cigarettes have won. Vapists have won. There are vapists running all over the country with their smug electronic cigarettes and their smug electronic little hookah pipes that have won. They've won and I've lost. And smoking e-cigarettes is now normalised. I was in a meeting the other day and someone was having a little puff on an e-cigarette in a meeting, in a restaurant, in a cinema, for crying out loud. It's got me angry. Girls, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, you know.
She's not as bothered as perhaps I am. Got me angry, man.
Babe, you're getting closer. The lights are going dim. The sound of your breathing has made the mood I'm in. All of my resistance is lying on the floor. You're taking me to places I've never been. can feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it. Way down where the music plays, way down like a tidal wave, way down where the fire plays, way down. My head is spinning. You got me in your spell. 100 magic fingers, a swirling carousel. A medicine within me, the doctor could prescribe. Your love is doing something that I just can't describe. Well, I can feel it, feel it. Way down where the music plays, way down like a tidal wave, way down where the fire plays, way down, way on down. Hold me again as tight as you can. I need you so, baby, let's go. Way down where it feels so good. Way down where I hope it would. Way down where I never could. Way down, way on down, way on down.
I can go lower. I can go lower than that. I don't know what he's showing off about. I can do that. Anyone can do that. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. And if you're one of those suckers who's been sucked into the whole e-cigarette. Oh yeah, but I've stopped. There were people. I tell you what, it was Clive Bull on LBC last night. Clive is one of the legends. There were people phoning him up saying, "Yeah, well, thanks to e-cigarettes, I've managed to quit smoking." Do you smoke e-cigarettes? Oh, yeah, but I've quit smoking. No, you haven't quit smoking. You've fallen into the trap, you plums. You're spending money on something else. You're still addicted to nicotine. You're still addicted. You don't have the freedom. You have no freedom. I am free, both in mind, body and spirit, because I gave up smoking 9.5 years ago. And how did I do it? I stopped smoking. That was it. I did it the Alan Carr way. And why? They're talking about the e-cigarettes on the NHS, prescribing e-cigarette. Oh, you're joking, aren't you? There's a waste of my money. Because if people can afford to smoke, then they can afford to buy their own e-cigarettes instead of getting a prescription. And why the NHS isn't going to people who come in and want to give up smoking. You want to give up smoking? Right, instead of us spending loads of money on replacement therapies, here, why don't you read this book? Read this Alan Carr book, give it back to us in 3 months, or give it to someone else, because you will have stopped smoking as a direct result of it if you follow the very simple instructions in it. It's simple. And there are people walking. Don't vapists look so smug? They look so cocksure of themselves as they're wandering around with their little glass fake hookah pipes and their little glass cigarettes, having this sneaky little... Oh, it annoys me. If you want to have your say on that, you're more than welcome to. You'll get short shrift from me if you are a vapist. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. Here endeth the rant for the moment. Now, the British Horse Society is calling for something to be done about the unusually high number of collisions involving, wait for it, horses on the A14 in Hertfordshire. The charity is concerned the London Colney to Hertford stretch has become a soft target for gypsies and travellers who leave their animals to graze on the roadside. A problem the BHS claims has led to the deaths of 40 animals in the past year alone. Well, Lynn Myland is the chairman of the Hertfordshire branch and joins me now. Morning, Lynn. There'll be people. There'll be people out there going, well, yeah, OK, interesting horses, but this is putting people's lives at risk as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes. I am in Hertfordshire, and I live in St Albans, and I've seen horses lying in the road, the drivers standing, looking, scratching their heads in shock, and obviously the mayhem that causes on closing the roads for hours while vets are called or people come along to remove the horses. And sometimes it's not even horses that have been hit, actually. It's horses that have just wandered out of fields along that A414 corridor that have wandered out there to graze on the grass verges, and then they wander into the road. And because they might not have been hit, but the police have to close off that road because of the dangers to the public, obviously, and to the animals.
What is the problem exactly, and why is it happening?
Well, I think the problem is due to the fencing of the land. The land has been abandoned in some respects for some years, and the fencing is very poor. People have put their animals onto that land without proper fencing, and obviously they wander back out onto the road. We have legislation now in Wales that stops that fly grazing and abandonment of horses on other people's land, and they have powers in Wales to remove those horses very quickly, and sometimes actually they have to euthanize them if they can't find the owners, or there are huge welfare issues with some of these animals that are sick and lame. And obviously, now that Wales have stronger powers, those horses, we heard at our fly grazing meeting that those horses have actually reached Hertfordshire, some of them, and it's becoming a problem across England.
Some of the land that they're grazing on belongs to Hertfordshire County Council. What have the County Council said?
Well, the County Council have been looking into this for some time, Hertfordshire County Council. They're working closely with their head of Gypsy section and their land agents, and they're looking to improve that situation. A lot of the land along that corridor actually belongs to Lafarge Tarmac, and they have committed, following our grazing meeting, fly grazing meeting, they've committed to fencing that land and checking it on a weekly basis, so that you're either fencing the horses in or fencing them out.
Lynn, I'm going to leave it there. It's not the best line. That's Lynn Myland, who's calling us from a box, it sounds like, in Spain. But I think we got the message, the point across that there is... Imagine driving your car into a horse. I can't think of any... Well, I can think of a few things more horrific, but not many. You're driving down the motorway or down an A-road or something, bam, you smack into a horse. Mm-hmm. That's gonna smart for everybody, isn't it?
I think it'll be more than just smart. Have you not seen that Horse Whisperer?
Not for a while, no.
Don't you remember that scene?
Oh, God, no, is there?
Where the back legs go through the windscreen.
Hey, Chihuahua! 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A very good morning and a rather quiet start this morning, checking on the speed sensors, and it seems to be moving well on the M1. Not seeing any reported problems on the M25 so far this morning. Taking a look so far at the A10 in Great Amwell, there is a lane closed for roadworks just near Pepper Hill, often causing delays during the rush. That's going on till the end of May. So far, no reported problems on the trains. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. It's 6:30, it's BBC Three Counties Radio. Already the emails are coming in from smug vapists. I'll read them out after we get the news and sport with Simon.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
The headlines: thousands of single parents are receiving letters over the next few days warning them to agree child maintenance arrangements or pay a fee under a new system after the Child Support Agency was replaced. The problem of traveller horses getting killed at the roadside in Hertfordshire is at crisis level, according to a charity. The local branch of the British Horse Society says more than 40 have been removed from the A414 corridor in the last year. And Buckinghamshire County Council is following Three Rivers' lead and putting up signs in parks and play areas asking people to avoid smoking. Earlier this year, signs saying young lungs at play were approved in southwest Hertfordshire.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
England's cricketers have made a losing start to the summer, with Sri Lanka winning last night's 2020 International at the Oval by 9 runs. England reached 174 for 7 in reply to the tourists' 183 for 7. More from Pat Murphy.
Despite a gallant 66 by Alex Hales, the game was decided by the brilliance of Lasith Malinga. 3 for 28, including 11 dot balls in his 4 overs, and a dropped catch by Michael Carberry that reprieved Tisara Pereira when he scored 20. Carberry should have taken a regulation skied chance, but once reprieved, Pereira smashed 49 off 20 balls, helping Sri Lanka plunder 32 off the final 3 overs. No England batsman other than Joss Buttler could stay with Hales, but Buttler went for 26 off 16 balls. Although Ravi Bopara fired off a few bold strokes near the end, Malinga knew just too much for the England batsman.
Watford are being linked with Czech goalkeeper Marek Stek, who is leaving the Oval after their relegation from the Championship. Meanwhile, the former coach of Italian side Udinese is to become a technical supervisor of Watford, as well as Udinese and the other Pozzo family-owned club Granada in Spain. Francesco Guidolin's new role was announced yesterday at a press conference in Italy. Milton Keynes Dons have announced a pre-season friendly at home to Nottingham Forest on Sunday, July the 27th, which will also be a testimonial match for captain Dean Lewington. Yesterday, the Dons confirmed Richie Barker as head of coaching on a permanent basis. The former Crawley and Portsmouth boss assisted manager Carl Robinson following the departure of Gary Waddock. And in tennis, Andy Murray has called on the world's elite players and the Grand Slam tournaments to help fund an increase in prize money at lower levels of the sport. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 7.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
08459 455 555 is the telephone number. Can I read you the first of the, no doubt, the huge number of complacent emails we'll be getting from smug vapists?
Please.
This is from Saranjeet. Ian, there are plenty of worse things than e-cigs, like speeding and killing people on the road. I do 1,800 miles a week, and every day, all day, I see idiots on the road. Leave us alone. We're not hurting anyone. Yes, I am smug. Right. Several things here. Why are you comparing people dying on the road to e-cigarettes? What's the comparison? There's like murder and rape as well, but what you couldn't compare the two. We're not hurting anybody. Actually, you are hurting people. You're being quite damaging because you're normalising smoking. You're normalising addiction to nicotine. So yeah, I think you are being quite damaging. I think it is quite a dangerous thing that you're doing. I think it is rather unpleasant what you're doing. Oh, Kels!
Ian, why?
What? What's wrong?
You're being silly, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Okay.
Hello, Three Counties.
Hello, I'd like to go on the radio, please.
Oh, hi. What's your name?
My name's Steve.
Oh, Steve.
The reason we're doing that is to highlight a problem that my production team are facing. Catherine, maybe you'd like to explain to the listener.
I love our chats. I really love our little chats that we get from the listeners, and I don't want you to stop phoning. But if you don't want to talk to Ian, then...
Stop phoning.
Then, well...
This is it. I'm going to say it now, right? Don't phone up. Spend 3 or 4 minutes gabbing on to Kelly or Catherine. They're both nice ladies. They're not going to tell you to... One of them's a nice lady. She wouldn't tell you to jog on. The other one would. Saying which one is which. Is the cold one. But... And then after 3 minutes go, oh, no, I don't want to go on the air. What are you phoning up for? We're not the Samaritans.
That is a great impression.
Of what?
Of some of our listeners.
Oh, no, I don't want to go on air. I just want to tell you that. That's not what we're here for. No, we're a business. I'm
glad that you feel like you can involve us in your inner thoughts, and I'm not ungrateful.
Yeah.
But when the other lines are flashing and we've been talking to you for 5 minutes, it's a little bit galling when you say you don't want to speak to Ian. I can understand why you don't want to.
No, come on now, that's not fair.
But you kind of, in a way, it's leading us on.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I just kind of feel a little bit
you are
used.
teasers. You are little teasers, and we won't. So if you phone up,
don't get me all excited with.
Is that you again?
That's not me. No.
Don't get me all excited with your interesting views, and then say,
"Come on, radio, please."
Okay, sure. I'll put you straight through live.
Thanks very much.
Ian.
Yeah.
Fader 1. You.
What?
Fader 1 is you.
Hang on. How am I going to do this?
Hello, is that Catherine?
Yeah, hi, who's that?
My name is Steve.
Hello, Steve. What did you want to say to us today?
I think... Oh, hang on. I think you're fab.
Well, you're quite right.
Could you play Elkie Brooks' Lilac Wine?
Do you know, Steve, you must have special powers or something, because that's exactly what I've got in my pocket for you.
I lost myself on a cool, damp night. Gave myself in that misty light. Was hypnotized by strange delight under a lilac tree. I made wine from the lilac tree, lost my heart in its recipe, made me see what I want to see, be what I want to be. But I think more than I ought to think, do things I never should do. I drink much more than I ought to drink, because it brings me back you. Lilac wine is sweet and heady, like my love. Lilac wine, I feel unsteady, like my listen to me, I cannot see clearly. Isn't that he coming to me, Nellie? Lilac wine is sweet and heady. Where's my love? Lilac wine, I feel unsteady. Where's my love? Listen to me. Why is everything so hazy? Isn't that he? Or am I going crazy, dear? Lilac wine, I feel
Oh, Elkie.
I'm ready
For my Can't quite get that high.
Is she all right?
Thank you. Good night. Drive safely.
Migraines, are they contagious? I think you just give me yours.
Flippin' heck. I've got another headache.
Why am I so quiet?
Oh,
Nice try, sunshine.
You noticed. That's a good song. You're a maximum.
Okay.
You're a maximum. And you're a maxi granddad, Dennis.
Good morning.
Good morning, Vietnam.
Elkie Brooks, that was another Mancunian.
What?
Elkie Brooks.
She
was a Mancunian.
Wonderful. Do you remember, I was talking to Kath about this, Dennis. Do you remember a programme? It was, I can tell you exactly, 12 years ago, on ITV on a Saturday night. It was presented by Davina McCall.
Yes.
And it was called Reborn in the USA.
Yes.
And they took a load of British stars who hadn't made it in America around small theatres in America, and the American audience voted. So there was her, there was Tony Hadley, there was the bloke from Then Jericho, but he went nuts and got booted off. There was Dollar.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Some of it.
You don't. You're humouring me. What do you want, Dennis? You and Kath do this, but I've talked too much.
I'm agreeing with you that cigarettes, you don't need willpower, you need won't power. And I had that years ago. I haven't smoked for over 80 years. Right? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm nodding.
Yes, I am. I can even tell you the date I stopped smoking.
When did you stop?
29th of May, 1934.
Wow. Do you know what's interesting about that? Is that you said you stopped... No, you stopped smoking. You didn't give up smoking.
I stopped smoking right away. Yes, I gave it up.
Well, no, you didn't give it up. You stopped.
Yes, I did.
Because there's nothing to lose and everything to gain.
No, I did stop smoking because I didn't like the taste.
Yeah.
It was my birthday, and my uncles I bought a little cigar, because I love to sell cigars. And they said, right, you can have it on your birthday. Well, I took one puff, and it nearly poisoned me.
You took one what?
And I took one puff of the cigar, and it nearly poisoned me.
Oh.
I think a lot of cigarettes being smoking when young, it's peer pressure.
No, it's
I haven't got anybody else to...
I don't buy it. This peer pressure thing is a myth. I don't buy it at all.
No.
When I started smoking, it wasn't because my friends were going, "Here, go on, Iain, have a fag." It was because my girlfriend at the time smoked. I didn't like her smoking. I knew if I started smoking, she wouldn't like it, so that's why I did it.
But the fags were available. They were in your sphere.
That's right.
Yeah, but my friend...
Your friend says, "Do you want one of these?" Or you say to your friend, "Can I have a go on that?"
Yeah, but me saying, "Can I have a go on that?" is not peer pressure.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. That's my inquisitive young mind.
Rubbish.
What? Peer pressure is when your mates go, "Go on, have one of these. Try it.
No, it's trying to get in with the crowd.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Dennis, say hello to Tony. Tony, say hello to Dennis.
Hello, Tony, Dennis.
Hello, Dennis, Tony. I'm still rolling my own. Yeah, nothing to do with smoking, though.
God, blimey, it must be rubbish. The stuff we used to get in the Navy where you got the leaf and you made a pig out of it and then smoked that. God almighty.
My grandfather smoked stuff that was so bad it was like old rope and soap.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I bought some fags in Spain for a friend of mine. I'm trying to stop him smoking. And it was made of, I think it was made of leaf or something else. And it was vile, but he smoked. He thought they were marvellous.
My grandfather would stuff anything he could find to light his pipe up.
Oh, cabbage leaves.
Yes, I think they would have been quite good, actually, compared to what he smoked.
Thick black twisties, didn't they?
Well, he used to smoke a product which we're not allowed to name because it was called old and it began with the letter N.
Oh, dear.
That's those days.
Yes. All nicotine, you mean?
Something like that, yes.
Yeah. No, they used to smoke that black, like a piece of rope, and it's jet black and shiny.
I think they called it something rum twist or something, didn't they?
Yeah, well, you could either eat it like licorice or smoke it.
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm 67, I'm still smoking, although I did stop for 10 years.
Well, I'm almost 89 and I've not smoked.
Trouble is, I went back on it after 10 years, and that's the worst thing to do.
Of course it is, yeah. No, if you don't like the taste to start with, you don't smoke.
Do you think Ian's abandoned us?
Yes, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. He's gone into a sulk.
Threaten to read a poem to him, he might come back on air.
We'll have no poetry here. Whoa.
There once was a presenter called Iain.
No, Tony, what have you called in about, Tony?
Something sensible.
Go on. Oh, hang on a second. You sure you want us, not Roberto?
Well, yes, later on, of course.
Go on.
He got upset because I called him Sicilian once.
Oh, blimey, don't upset him.
Seriously, we've got these European elections and local elections coming up in certain areas. I think it's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow, yes. Oh, yes,
okay.
sir.
All the people I've spoken to on my estate, nobody has received a voting card.
Oh.
Now, I know it's not absolutely essential. You can just go along and tell them your name and address, but anybody could do that several times over and cheap. But no, I'm just wondering if anybody else in the area, Luton and that stuff, if they've got the vote, have they received their voting cards yet?
Whereabouts are you? You're in Milton Keynes?
Milton Keynes, yeah. Great Linford Ward.
Right. OK, we'll put some calls in and find out and give you a shout.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dave. Well, if you've not received your voting card, or if you have, I received mine, my wife threw it away, I retrieved it from the bin, it's gone again. So, but I don't know where my polling station is. How do I find that out?
It's internet.
Supposing I don't have it.
Well, I know you do.
Yeah, but supposing I don't.
Call your council.
How do I find the number?
Directory inquiries.
Nice one.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The M1 heading southbound's looking slow at the moment between junction 10 Luton Airport and junction 9 for Redbourne. The M25's looking slow on the speed sensors heading anti-clockwise between junction 21 the M1 and junction 20 for Kings Langley. And in Bricketwood is looking very heavy at the moment on the North Orbital Road just off the M25. So far not seeing any problems on the trains. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. 6:46. It's Wednesday the 21st of May. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Thousands of single parents are receiving letters over the next few days warning them to agree child maintenance arrangements or pay a fee under a new system after the Child Support Agency was replaced. The problem of traveller horses getting killed at the roadside on the A41 in Hertfordshire is at a crisis level, according to a horse charity. And in sport, England's cricketers have made a losing start to the summer, with Sri Lanka winning last night's 2020 international by 9 runs. 08459 455 555. Your phone calls after we get the latest weather with Michael Fish.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. There may be a few mist and fog patches at first, but these will soon clear to leave a fine and dry morning with spells of warm sunshine and light winds. Doesn't that sound nice? It will stay mostly dry this afternoon, but 1 or 2 showers are possible and cloud will build by the end of the day. Maximum temperature of 20 degrees Celsius. That's your latest weather. I'm Michael Fish.
Thank you very much indeed. Whoa. That's not what we wanted. We wanted this. Having a little bit of a midlife crisis, and thank you, Catherine. I appreciate it. You've already talked me out of buying a drum kit.
Well, you know, I'm all for big spends like that.
I saw a drum kit online on a popular internet auction site, eBay, for 160 quid. Buy it now. And it's a Pearl. Oh, it was tempting, but I know that if I were to turn up in my already slightly tense household with the drum kit, there's the door, get out.
Can you not get one of those electric ones?
Pigeon Street style.
Yeah, you could do that.
No.
Get really good.
No, you can't get good on those. They've got no blowback.
Yeah.
They've got blowback. on there. So you've taught me off getting a drum kit, thank you. But now you're talking me into buying a metal detector.
Well, only because this fella has inspired me to tell you to buy something, because I'm not buying one. Treasure hunter David Spohr found a 3,500-year-old gold necklace. When he'd given up to go and get his butties.
Hey, so this means it's going to pay for itself.
Well, I don't know if you get the money, though. Is it National Treasure Trove?
It depends where you find it. If you find it where there's no one watching you, it's yours.
Yeah, but you've got to sell it to someone.
Yeah, exactly.
And the person you sell it to is probably going to be a museum.
Not really. Cash converters.
You're going to take your Bronze Age tribal chief's lunula to cash converters?
Sure, why not? That's 35 quid.
Or put it in an envelope and send it off to one of these companies. Why do people do that? Why do people do that? My mum had one of those envelopes and I said, don't do that. Why don't you keep it in your hand and take it to a number of jewellers and see what they will give you and then decide?
Yes.
Because if you've heard Jonathan's programme at any point when people have sent them off, you don't seem to get a very good deal from these places.
There's a new company I heard on I think they're advertising on the radio the other day. And it's the same thing. They send you an envelope. You put a product in. It's a very specific product. It's Rolex watches. Now, I haven't got any, but I ain't going to send a Rolex watch in a plastic envelope through the posts. And
it's a prepaid envelope.
Oh, in that case, suddenly I'm interested. But so, what has this gentleman found?
A lunula.
A what?
He'd given up and gone for his lunch after a fruitless morning searching with his metal detector. But as David, 55, crossed a cow field, the machine went off and he dug up this thing. It's called a lunula, a crescent-shaped symbol of power worn by Bronze Age tribal chiefs. At first he thought it was an old sardine tin, but when cleaned it turned out to be worth up to £20,000. It was only the fourth of these things found in mainland Britain and the first to be discovered using a detector. An inquest into the find will have to be held and its value will be split between the finder and the owner of the field near Blandford, Dorset.
There you go.
It'll probably go to a museum.
Yeah, blooming
He's been
museums.
a treasure hunter for 6 years. I never expected to find a lump of gold. It's something you dream of. It's the find of a lifetime.
Well, I mean, it's not...
There he is.
I had a dream last night. Yesterday I was in a Texan prison and my boys had to fly in and visit me. It's very hot. It's really hot.
What's your subconscious trying to tell you?
I've got no idea.
But yeah, there he is. He's got his metal detector in his spade.
I want to get a metal detector, but the cheap ones are rubbish. We bought one for my eldest for his birthday. It was from a really good store, actually, a really good store. It was John Lewis. And it was about 30 quid, 35 quid. But it wouldn't find anything. It wouldn't detect anything. You put a coin under a tea towel and it wouldn't detect it. So we took it back. And, of course, Mr. Lewis said that's absolutely fine. We apologise. But it seems to be a big leap from 40 quid up to 150 quid.
You've got to be pretty sure you're going to find a lunula to make it worthwhile.
You're going to start getting into geocaching soon, aren't you?
Well, not really. I know that there's one at the end of my street and I've not been yet. I think that's Resistance. But I probably will go at some point just to have a look.
Justin, metal detecting, something that interests you?
No, not at all, boss. Not for me.
08459 455 555. I'm kind of tempted.
It's boring. Come on. You see these plonkers on the beach. You're laying there, you've slapped on the oil, you're nice and comfortable. Somebody comes along, come on, guys, get a life.
Interestingly enough, right this second, we're looking at a picture of you in beachwear.
Exactly.
If you follow at Iain Lee or at BBC3CR, can we put this on the Facebook page as well, Kels? Is it on there?
I've done it, yeah.
Facebook.com/BBC3CR. Dealey says relax. Thank you to Lino for that. Why not use that? But wouldn't it? This is what we'll do.
The Mona Lisa smile underneath the aviator sunglasses.
This is what we'll do.
Is that a nudist beach?
No.
This is what we'll do, OK? If everybody could copy this picture and use it as your Twitter image just for 24 hours, we can really raise awareness about the plight that Justin Dealey's are in. Justin Dealey's are a dying breed, and we need more of them. Copy the picture. You have our permission. Use it as your Twitter picture, and if you do, we will retweet you.
Thank you, boss.
Justin, have you been tempted by these e-cigs?
Yes, I have tried them, and for me, don't work at all.
Not as tasty as a real one?
No, not as tasty. They almost taste like candy. It's weird. They've got a bizarre flavour to them. That, for me, is not smoking. Yes, I will quit one day, but the e-cigs, I did try them under pressure, but they just didn't work for me at all. It
annoys me, and we'll talk more about e-cigs later on, because they annoy me, and people saying, they don't do anyone any harm. They do. When my boys start noticing that, they look cooler than cigarettes, and it normalises smoking. You're normalising addiction.
Well,
Thanks.
To be fair, I was going to say, but to be fair, a lot of pubs have banned them anyway.
Good.
So if you're inside a pub and you're having an e-cigarette, you're not allowed. They throw you out.
We're running out of time. The runaway peacocks we've got you on for.
Yes.
In Potton End in Hertfordshire, it was keeping neighbours awake. What you went to find this peacock?
Yeah, you sent me on a mission yesterday, Ian. You said, go and find this peacock. So Potton End is a small village in Hertfordshire, in between Hemel Hempstead and Berkhamsted. And I was looking for this peacock for a good half an hour or so, driving up and down this road. I couldn't see the peacock, I couldn't hear the peacock, and then suddenly we struck gold. We found the runaway peacock. Ian, this is what happened. That, my friends, is the sound of a peacock. Well, I'm here with Josh. Josh, we have found the peacock. Here he is on your roof. What's his name?
His name's Terry.
Why Terry?
It suits him.
OK. I mean, he looks absolutely magnificent. How long has he been here for?
Just about, I think about a few weeks.
What, just literally turn up on your roof and this is now his new home?
Yeah, he appeared from nowhere and now he keeps me up at night.
Yeah, I was going to say, because he has been quite loud so far. When's he at his, let's say, noisiest?
He's at his noisiest, I'd say, about this time of the evening. And early in the morning, about 5 o'clock.
It's so loud. How are you coping with this?
Earplugs, you do the job, usually.
But you seem to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah?
It's a good alarm clock. I get up for work early anyway, so...
And what about the neighbours? What are they saying about this?
They like him from a distance, but I don't think they like the noise much.
And he does come quite close as well, I've heard.
Yeah, he comes right up to you. If you have some nuts or whatever, he'll come take them out with you, near enough from your hand.
So you're quite happy for Terry to stay for as long as he wants to, then?
Of course.
Yeah. Now, I'm told that you can have a conversation with Terry.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, apparently you can communicate. Look at him, rustling his feathers up there. So, can you try and communicate to Terry for me?
I'll give it a go.
OK, here we go. Wow, that was incredible. I think he was saying that he likes my low-cut V, but you've got no plans to get in touch with a peacock specialist and say, well, what can we do with him?
Well, we had a look online at sort of what he can eat and stuff, and then we think we're sort of giving him the right food, but...
You think?
Yeah.
He's still alive?
I hope so, yeah. Well, he's getting bigger.
Yeah, he seems to be happy, but again, no idea, absolutely no idea at all where this bird has come from.
No, he appeared from nowhere.
What a story. Terry! He's not talking to me. Shall I have a go as well?
Yeah, go on, give it a go.
I don't know whether you've heard this, but I have got special powers.
Yeah, you're peacock whisperer.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm quite shocked. I've been looking for this bird for the last 20 minutes, and here he is on your roof. Incredible stuff. Well, enjoy him, and all the very best.
Thank you. Cheers.
That, my friends, is the sound of a peacock.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The M1 heading southbound, looking very heavy at the moment on the speed sensors between junction 11 Dunstable Road and junction 9 for Redbourne. In Luton, it's queuing at the moment on Airport Way, heading westbound between Vauxhall Way and the junction 10A, the Kidney Wood roundabout. The M25 heading anti-clockwise, rather slow moving at the moment between junction 21, the M1, and junction 20 for Kings Langley. And in Bricket Wood, it is queuing at the moment on the North Orbital Road, just off the M25. And in Boreham Wood, slow moving on the Barnet bypass, heading southbound between Barnet Lane and Watford bypass. So far on the A10, that's looking slow heading southbound as well. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
You got it, Nicola. You got it. Well done. Thank you. I'm going to have another rant about e-cigarettes later on. They're doing my head in. The vapists are so arrogant and, dare I say it, ignorant.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headlines: single parents told to agree child maintenance or pay a fee, warning over traveller horses in Hertfordshire, and anti-smoking signs in Buckinghamshire parks.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thousands of single parents are receiving letters over the next few days warning them to agree child maintenance arrangements or pay a fee. The Child Support Agency is being replaced, and there will be a charge for both paying and receiving parents if they need to use the new child maintenance service. Caroline Davis from Gingerbread, the charity for single parents, is against the shake-up.
Obviously, where they can make private child maintenance arrangements with their child's other parent, then that's great. But for far too many of them, that's simply not possible, and they need the help of the statutory child maintenance service to get the money that their child's entitled to.
The problem of traveller horses getting killed at the roadside in Hertfordshire is at crisis level, according to a charity. The local branch of the British Horse Society says more than 40 have been removed from the A414 corridor in the last year. More from Tony Fisher.
The charity says the problem extends from the London Colney roundabout all the way to Hertford. It wants to see more enforcement and a change in the legislation in order to deal with horses fly grazing by the side of the road. In Wales, new laws have been introduced which give the local authority more powers to deal with the problem, but there's no such legislation in England.
Police are investigating how an 8-year-old boy died after coming off his bike in Hertfordshire. It happened on Monday evening at Macefield Avenue in Boreham Wood. The boy was taken to hospital but died shortly afterwards. Hertfordshire Police are appealing for witnesses. An investigation is underway into the cause of a fire in Hertfordshire in which an elderly woman died. Firefighters tackled the blaze in a terraced house in Hampden Crescent in Cheshunt at around midday yesterday. Neighbouring homes were evacuated. Meanwhile, 2 people were led to safety by firefighters after a blaze at a house in Watford last night. Crews were called to Anglesey Road just before midnight. Buckinghamshire County Council is following Three Rivers' lead and putting up signs in parks and play areas asking people to avoid smoking. Earlier this year, signs saying young lungs at play were approved in South West Hertfordshire. More from Jessica Cooper.
The signs in Buckinghamshire will be in parks and children's play areas as part of a pilot to reduce young people taking up smoking. Public health workers will also be working with schools to spread the message. In the Three Rivers, similar signs have been damaged, but the council says they've been taken down and replaced.
US Coast Guards have continued their search for the 4 British sailors who have been missing in the Atlantic since Friday. The operation was initially called off on Sunday, but then restarted after an online petition was signed by more than 200,000 people. In sport, England's cricketers have made a losing start to the summer, with Sri Lanka winning last night's 2020 International at the Oval by 9 runs. The weather, some bright spells, but showers this afternoon and heavier rain this evening. A maximum temperature 19 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
It's a large wildflower meadow, and it's my favourite meadow.
And all this week, we're featuring Wendover.
I like the fact that you can meet some really lovely people and they become very good friends.
It's all about where you live.
I think there's definitely a community spirit and it's getting bigger and bigger.
Good business, good friends.
The big tour of beds, hearts and bucks. BBC Three Counties Radio.
This is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. I've got a feeling in my bones and in my blood and indeed, dare I say it, my water. Something spectacular is going to happen today. Not necessarily on this show, but you're feeling it. Spectacular, big, great. Not necessarily good, but something big is going to happen. You mark my words, tomorrow morning you'll be phoning in going, oh my gosh, Iain, you're amazing. You are like the Dalai Lama, but except you're not on the run from China. Yet. Lots to talk about, including child support, gypsy horses, and vapists. You are so arrogant. There's a survey out, or the research. Smokers are 60% more likely to quit using e-cigarettes. But, it's the Emperor. He's naked. Can't you see? You're moving your addiction from one thing to another. You're quitting nothing. And if you want to see a picture of Justin Dealey looking suave, go to facebook.com/BBC3CR. We're urging all of our listeners to copy that photograph and use it as your Twitter or as your Facebook image for today, please. Facebook.com/BBC3CR or give me a call 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
More on the child support in a second. Catherine's scratching her head as though she's got something good to say.
No, Anne in St Albans has, though.
Oh, thank you. Anne!
Hello, Ian.
Good morning, Anne. What would you like to say?
Well, it's about the vaping, as you beautifully call it. It's lovely word.
Yes.
Did you invent it?
I invented vapists, yes.
Oh, vapists.
Yes.
Well, yes, they are still addicted, of course. I've never smoked, so I don't have the problem.
No.
But they are still addicted, but I just think it's the lesser of the two addictions, put it that way.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. It's I nearly said better. I don't know better. It's less damaging to you than cigarettes, but it annoys me, Anne, that there is this smoke and mirrors is being used. There is a con being done here. It's that they're all owned by the same companies. It's just shifting the addiction from one thing to another, and they're going to make more money out of it eventually because you will be addicted for longer because it won't kill you.
Yes, well, I personally don't have a problem with that because that industry doesn't make any money out of me as far as I know. But the trouble is with these people, they diversify into beer and they diversify into all the other things which I might happily consume, in which case I'm contributing to it unknowingly anyway.
What also annoys me is people say, oh, well, but it's not doing you any harm. Well, do you know what actually it is? Because it's normalising smoking again. We're going back to the 70s and 80s where smoking is normalised, and my boys will see that, and I don't want my boys to think that smoking is normal. I don't want them to hey, what's that funny glass thing that man's got in his mouth? It looks cool. I don't want my boys to see that.
Well, I think, children do have their own points of view and they do make their own minds up. And, personally, I think that anybody, I don't know which American it was years ago, Walt something or other, he made a sort of a funny record and he said, what do? You put this weed, you dry it, you roll it up in a bit of paper, you stick it in your mouth and set fire to it. And I think that sort of ridicule probably is going to put people off more than anything else, because if it's not cool, kids won't do it.
And thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555. Smokers are 60% more likely to quit using e-cigarettes. You're not quitting, you're just shifting. You're looking from one thing to another. That's it. There's no quitting involved. You're putting money in their pockets. Annoys me. And of course we shouldn't be giving out e-cigarettes on the NHS. Ridiculous suggestion. Now, here's something that, it could affect, I'm sure, a significant number of you, dear listener. Thousands of parents are receiving letters this week warning them to agree amicable child maintenance arrangements or face being charged. The government's replacing the Child Support Agency with a new child maintenance service, but says it can no longer automatically be involved in every case. From this summer, if you need to chase an ex-partner who won't pay up, you'll both need to pay a percentage of the outstanding amount as a fee to the CMS. Janet Alberson is from the single parents charity Gingerbread. Good morning, Janet.
Good morning.
Why is this change being brought in?
The government has created a new child maintenance system to replace the Child Support Agency, but it says it wants to give all existing CSA cases a chance to work things out between themselves. And so it's going to charge parents who... sorry, I'm getting a feedback on my microphone.
OK. Tell you what, we'll try and get you on a different line and see if we can sort that out. So, Kelly, maybe I know it's difficult to get on a different line because it's on an ISDN. Is there anything you can... maybe you could do some magic because it would be useful. Maybe on a phone line, perhaps. We'll do it on a telephone, the good old-fashioned way, shall we? Because it's almost impossible. This is why we ask you to turn your radios off when you call in. It's almost impossible to speak when your own voice is repeating in your ear a semi-second later. 08459 455 555. Do let us know if if this is going to affect you. Janet, I think we've got you on the telephone now. Is that better?
Yes, you have.
There we go. Fantastic. So, this is being brought in to replace the CSA, which was troubled with problems anyway. Does it seem fair that both parents are going to have to pay a fee for this new service?
Well,
the government wants more people to make their own arrangements, if they can, between themselves for money. And that's absolutely brilliant if people can do that, if they're friendly enough to do that. But we know that a lot of parents really struggle. And our worry is that by putting up cost barriers to use the new child maintenance service, that some single parents who really need the new CMS to ensure their children get financial support may simply give up altogether or feel pressurised to settle for inadequate or unstable arrangements. And that will mean children lose out.
I thought, Janet, that the people only went to the CSA if they couldn't resolve it amicably.
Well, that's what we say. We know from the government's own evidence that about a third of people who go to the CSA have already tried a private agreement and it's broken down. And 6 in 10 have very poor relations with their ex or don't see them anymore at all. And expecting those sorts of people to make their own arrangement is really going to be very, very difficult. Over half of people who go to the CSA say they've experienced violence or abuse. Now, although they will escape the initial £20 application charge, if the other parent doesn't pay, they're still going to lose 4% of their money for their child in the form of a collection charge. And we think that's fundamentally wrong.
On this show and on this station, we've heard so many people who have used the CSA and they've been awarded, the money, but they've never received the money. The other person's refused to pay it. Is the CMS going to be as toothless as the Child Support Agency?
Well, that's the kind of frustrating thing, because the government tells us that the new CMS is going to be a lot better, that it's got computers that work, a good IT system, that it's going to step in quickly if the non-resident parent doesn't pay and chase up the arrears, so to stop them building up. So we think this service could be really, really good for people. And we object to the charges, but obviously we hope that people won't be put off, that they won't feel pressurised to try and make, arrangements that are unsatisfactory, that don't work for them. And if they do need this new service, they will, swallow hard and get on with it and use it, because actually, if it gets money for children in the end, go for it.
Do we know if the computers are actually going to work? Because you've just reminded me, that was a huge mess up at the start of the CSA. I think it's pretty much for the first year or 18 months. Their computers just weren't up to scratch, were they?
Well, they are going to... You may not know it, but the new system has been going for over a year now. But
Okay.
They've been moving very slowly, and just really since the start of the year, this year, they've been they're dealing with all new applicants. And we haven't heard much about them so far, but because they've moved so slowly, we're hoping that they can iron out all the glitches before they move to their next phase, which is closing down all the 1 million existing CSA cases over the next 3 years, and asking people whether they want to use the new service.
It does concern me that the 4% fee and the £20 application fee that the single parent, mum or dad, is going to have to pay. Because I would imagine that a significant number of those people who are making those applications will be vulnerable, won't have that much money anyway, and every penny will count.
You're absolutely right. If you can make your own arrangements, people do. A lot of people do. About a fifth of separated couples have private arrangements, and you tend to be better off. You've usually been married for quite a long time. The parent who leaves is still very involved with the kids, but unfortunately, not everyone's in that position. The CMS is really there for people who are in difficulties in getting maintenance, and if you charge them, you're simply taking away money from children who really need it.
What would you like to see happen, Janet? What in the eyes of Gingerbread would be the ideal setup?
Well, we don't think single parents should be charged for using this service, which is really, really necessary for them and their children. If anyone should pay a penalty, obviously for non-payment, it's the non-resident parent who won't pay. That's where the burden of responsibility lies for maintenance. And we would like more investment in services, obviously, to help parents sort out their conflicts so they can agree arrangements. But if it comes to using the new service, it should be free to ensure that for those who need the money for their children.
Janet, thanks very much for your time, and thank you for putting up with our slight technical problems there. It's much appreciated. I'm glad we got to hear your message in the end. Janet Alberson from the single parents charity Gingerbread. If you're concerned about how this is going to affect you, or maybe you think this is a cracking idea, think, yeah, good. Why should I be paying for, people who can't keep their marriage together? Why should I be paying for them to chase and pursue their maintenance pay? 08459 455 555 is the telephone number.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The A1, the Great North Road, starting to build up now on the sensors just before the Black Cat roundabouts. And the M1 heading southbound, looking very heavy on the speed sensors between Junction 11 Dunstable Road and Junction 9 for Redbourne. Slow moving on the M25, heading anti-clockwise between Junction 21, the M1, and Junction 20 Kings Langley. The A1M heading southbound heavy as well between Junction 3 for St Albans and Junction 1 for the M25. In Cheshunt, the A10's looking slow, heading southbound between Great Cambridge Road and Junction 25 for Enfield, and also rather slow moving at the moment on the Barnet bypass between Barnet Lane and Mill Hill Circus. So far, not seeing any problems on the trains. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. Right, 7:16. It's Wednesday, the 21st of May. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Letters are being sent to thousands of single parents, warning them they will be charged a fee in future if they use a government agency to administer maintenance payments. The problem of traveller horses getting killed at the roadside in Hertfordshire is at crisis level on the A414, according to a horse charity. And the Royal Mail is to start delivering parcels on Sundays. Oh, the company, which was privatised last year, will begin a trial scheme in and around London, including parts of the Three Counties.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Every weekday morning.
My show's called The JVS Show, 9 o'clock in the morning on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Jonathan Vernon Smith.
I deal with the consumer problems that affect people all over Beds, Herts and Bucks.
And I said, well, I didn't come all this way to be looking at a broken down hotel.
Those companies, those councils, those organisations that are letting people down.
This guy turned around and said to me that they're not prepared to pay me, and I said, so you're forcing me to take action. And he said, good luck, and put the phone down on me.
I get my teeth into them.
Oh, Jonathan, I'll start crying soon. We don't know what to do.
Deal with them and hopefully get results for you, the consumers.
And it got so convoluted, I thought there's only one person who can sort this out.
The JVS Show on BBC Three Counties Radio.
08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. I'm looking at this drum kit on an internet auction site. It's eBay. And it's 160 quid. And I've sent it to you, Catherine, and you went, and I don't get it. But now you're whispering in my ear. It's a nice drum kit.
Well, it's red. I don't know if it is a nice drum kit. Yeah. My brain is saying probably not a good idea, probably going to cause trouble.
Going to cause a trouble in my marriage and my house and my street.
My heart is saying shiny red drum kit.
Shiny red drums.
Stress buster.
Bless you.
Could train the guns up nicely.
Hey.
Get you out of the house. You'll love that. And the boys will like it.
Yeah, they're not touching it.
Oh, yeah. OK.
Kelly
Take
Betts.
them out of the equation.
We have a drum kit here in our BBC Introducing Band Room, if you wanted to test out to see how good you are.
I'm brilliant at drums.
Well...
I know how to play drums. Can't do the feet. I can do the arms.
That's one, isn't it? It's just one...
2 feet, mate.
Drum.
2 foot.
All right, fine.
Yeah, of course. I can do the drums. There's video footage of me. It was on YouTube, but I lost my YouTube channel of me playing drums on television. Delamitri's drum kit.
Oh, I saw that.
So you know I can play.
Well,
I've got the skills.
You know I can play.
I've got the skills.
Say that.
08459 455 555. I'm very, very tempted. My wife will kill me. Now, the A414 through Hertfordshire has become a soft target for travellers leaving their horses to graze at the roadside. Well, that's according to the British Horse Society. 40 animals have died in collisions on the London Colney to Hertford stretch in the past year alone. It's a matter of time before there's a human fatality. Jeanette Allen is the Chief Executive of the Horse Trust based in Buckinghamshire. Good morning, Jeanette.
Good morning.
Jeanette, tell us what these horses are doing here. Why are they there?
They're there out of a deliberate intent to get free grazing.
And unfortunately, there's a massive loophole in the law that the owners of these animals have discovered and are taking advantage of.
Who are these owners? Why are they why have they not got their own land they can graze on?
Maybe they do. The biggest problem is we suspect we know who the owners are, but we can't prove it because current equine identification regulation is so poor. So it's really hard to prove who is behind this behaviour that's so dangerous.
Oh, OK. No one's reporting these animals as soon as they appear, is that right? So they're kind of there for quite a while.
Yeah, that's often the way. Unfortunately, the legislation originally was designed for animals that accidentally strayed onto somebody's land. So it says that you should look after that animal if it's on your land for at least 2 weeks, give the owner a chance to come forward, and then sell it at market so there's money to compensate that owner if they come forward after 2 weeks. But that's designed for honest animal owners who accidentally have an animal that strays onto someone else's land. That unfortunately means that people who choose not to care for their animals properly or pay for their own grazing are deliberately placing their animals where there is grass, making it someone else's legal responsibility to care for them. And because their value at market is so low, it can be as little as £5 a horse, they then buy them back from the market, having been microchipped, having been passported, often by the local authority, so paid for by the taxpayer. And that's the cheapest possible way of having your horse cared for and fed.
Isn't that sneaky?
It's very, very sneaky, and it's a massive problem all over the country, but in specific pockets it's becoming very dangerous.
The implication is, and we've been told it's members of the traveller and gypsy community, is that right?
Quite often it is. Certainly we've been involved in a number of cases in the Hertfordshire area where the RSPCA have attempted to make a prosecution against owners who have been from that community. It's not, I would stress though, we can't say all of these horses come from that community. We've recently picked up some thoroughbreds in a terrible condition that were deliberately dumped in a field in Buckinghamshire. So they didn't come from that community, they came from someone else who'd chosen to just stop caring for their animal properly. But it's reasonable to say it's the majority of the animals you see on the roadside come from that community.
I understand there was a case in Luton recently, is that right?
Yes, that's right. Little Hamish, he was thrown out for having a fractured pelvis, which means that his market value diminishes completely. He's a little miniature Shetland. Now, he will always walk with a limp, but there's no reason as a 2-year-old who will not be in pain, now his fracture is healed, that he can't live a very happy life, and he will do that here. But we've also got 3 horses, a mare and 2 foals that were picked up in that area in Potter's Bar, all of whom were starving. The mare, in fact, was surviving up to her knees in water and living on bark, all in fields belonging to other landowners who'd been dumped with the responsibility.
They've clamped down on this in Wales, haven't they? What have they done in Wales?
They have. They've created a thing called the Control of Horses Act, and that gives the Welsh authority the powers to remove the horse much quicker, so within a week, and also doesn't force them to resell it at a market. They can dispose of the horse in whatever way they see fit. So if it is in very poor condition or sick, they can have it put to sleep, they can sell it, or they can rehome it to a charity, for example. So it gives them many more options, much more quickly. Unfortunately, because the English government has not made any changes to its legislation, there is evidence that animals are being moved from Wales over to England.
Oh. Very sneaky, this lot. Well, and 40 horses have been killed in the past year. I'm assuming that's being hit by cars, is it?
It will be, and
I can't think of a more horrific image.
With each other.
I think what a horrific image.
It is a horrific image. I think what's even more horrific, and I say this as someone who runs a horse welfare charity, I would still say it's a far more horrific image if a family is driving down that road and they hit a horse at any speed. That could be the end of that family.
Jeanette, it's a sobering thought. I appreciate your time this morning. Jeanette Allen, Chief Executive of the Horse Trust based in Buckinghamshire. Oh, dear, I've got a horrific thought. 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
What What text?
Got a text from Pat.
Go on then, you do it.
Pat says, "Oh, not another tax on the poor. The CSA are now to charge both parents when successfully getting child maintenance that's owed. Bedroom tax, making those due to retire work longer. Food banks shooting up everywhere. What a country we live in." Despairing Pat.
People don't sign letters like that anymore, do they?
No, he didn't either. It's just Pat.
Or is it she?
No, Pat and Houghton Regis.
Is Pat and Houghton Regis a bloke?
Yeah.
I did not know
Spoke to him yesterday.
You know Pat, he calls in...
Never, no.
Yeah, you spoke to him yesterday.
No,
Yeah.
didn't.
Pat, ring up so he remembers your voice.
No.
08459 455
555. No, I'd remember a Pat.
Well, it's that Pat. Here's another one.
With his hat.
I drive up and
Is
down...
this another Pat?
No, this is Dave from Hartford.
That's a bloke.
Well, almost definitely.
I recognise that name. Short for David.
Well, it might be Davina.
No.
There's Phils that are Philiders.
Or Phyllis. They're more Phyllises than Philiders.
Depends where
You're
you
thinking
live.
of
Where you live, there's Philiders.
You're thinking of Philadelphia cheese.
I'm thinking of Emma Thompson's mum.
What happened to those two girls?
Oh, one of them is Queen Thistle from Ben and Holly.
Fantastic.
Anyway, morning, Ian, says Dave from Hartford. Probably a man.
I don't like... You just reminded me... Katie Morag, CBeebies.
I love Katie Morag.
I like Katie Morag, except they've done a lot recently where they obviously run out of budget, and it's just someone they're all sat in a circle telling, "Oi, storytelling night, I'm going to tell a wee story."
The one where it's at Granny Island's Killy.
Granny Island's Killy.
They did Stone Soup the other day. That's not their story. That's a story.
You can't have that story. Make up your own. So not only are you not going out on location anymore, you're stealing stories, Katie Morag.
Katie Morag. Also,
Yeah.
have you noticed that the kids all allowed to fall asleep on the daybed whenever?
Yeah.
While the adults party on. Is that okay?
Well, up there they got no rules, which is why I say Scotland independence. You have it. You have it, and then you come back to us in 2 years' time when you're crying because you can't look after yourself. Oh, we're so sorry. Can we come back? No, jog on.
One positive impact of Katie Morag
Yeah.
is that I live very much in the 1950s,
Yes.
as you may have noticed.
Yes.
But my parents are within sight, their house is within sight of ours. So my little girls, on a night time, will flash their torches to my mother, who will flash back. But we can't do it anymore because it's too light and someone's tree's grown. So if you wouldn't mind.
It's a shame I miss your mum flashing.
Anyway,
Yes.
Dave from Hartford.
Who's a fella?
We think. Probably.
Okay.
I drive up and down the A414 a lot and have phoned the police on a number of occasions. It don't help that there is a gypsy site in the roundabout, says Dave from Hartford. Is that true?
I've got to say, this campaign, hashtag Dealey Says, is really taking off.
Yeah, good.
On Twitter at the moment. And let's just go through some of the people who've used his image for theirs.
Yeah.
Chrissy's done it. Watco's done it. MK Don's Paul. Anthony Baker says, "Is that a young Brad Pitt?" Victoria's done it. So 3 people have done it, which is and you, which is just awesome. Pat's in Houghton Regis. Good morning, Pat. First time caller to the show, yes?
Oh, yes. Yes.
What would you like to say, Pat?
Well, good morning, really.
Good morning.
It's that Pat.
I have never spoken to this woman before in my life.
Yeah, my voice is a bit heavy, I know.
I know, my love. So, how long have you been listening for?
Oh, about 5 minutes.
Okay, and what's caused you to call him, my dear?
I sent in a nice text to you, and you were kind enough to read it out.
There you go, you see, and I told you she was a lady, short for Patricia. Thank you, Catherine. Apology accepted.
Sorry for everything.
Are you crying, Pat?
No, I used that name just on the Friday, Patricia.
Thank you very much indeed.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The M1 heading southbound, looking very heavy at the moment between junction 11 at Dunstable Road and junction 9 at Redbourne. And in Luton, it's queuing at the moment on Airport Way between Vauxhall Way and the Kidneywood roundabout. Some roadworks taking place there, causing some delays. The M25 heading anti-clockwise, queuing at the moment on the sensors between junction 21, the M1, and junction 19 for Watford. And in Hemel Hempstead, it's looking rather heavy at the moment on the A41 London bound between Two Waters Road and Kings Langley. The A1M also very heavy heavy heading southbound between junction 3 for St Albans and junction 1 for the M25. On the trains, no reported problems or delays. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. Scott has changed his Twitter picture. He's also recorded a Justin Dealey song, which I'm going to retweet now at Iain Lee if you want that. If you have changed your Twitter picture to that of Justin Dealey, can you please use the hashtag Dealey Says, and can you tweet him as well? It will blow his tiny little mind.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7:30, I'm Simon Oxley. Letters are being sent to thousands of single parents warning them they'll be charged a fee in future if they use a government agency to administer maintenance payments. The problem of traveller horses getting killed at the roadside in Hertfordshire is at crisis level on the A414, according to a horse charity. And Royal Mail is to start delivering parcels on Sundays. The company, which was privatised last year, will begin a trial scheme in and around London, including parts of the Three Counties.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
England's cricketers have made a losing start to the summer, with Sri Lanka winning last night's 2020 International at the Oval by 9 runs. England reached 174 for 7 in reply to the tourists' 183 for 7. Despite Alex Hale's 66, Owen Morgan's side finished just short of their target.
It's very disappointing. The first 15 overs of our bowling innings, we were really impressive, but we didn't finish as well as we'd like. And then a little bit of a stutter in the middle period of our batting let us down again. One positive of today is Harry Gurney on debut, bowled magnificently well, showed his skills. He was able to transfer some form from county cricket into the international stage, and that's always good to see.
Watford are being linked with Czech goalkeeper Marek Stek, who is leaving Yeovil after their relegation from the Championship. Meanwhile, the former coach of Italian side Udinese is to become a technical supervisor of Watford, as well as Udinese and the other Pozzo family-owned club Granada in Spain. Francesco Guidelin's new role was announced yesterday at a press conference in Italy. Milton Keynes Dons have announced a pre-season friendly at home to Nottingham Forest on Sunday, July the 27th, which will also be a testimonial match for captain Dean Lewington. Yesterday, the Dons confirmed Richie Barker as head of coaching on a permanent basis. The former Crawley and Portsmouth boss assisted manager Carl Robinson following the departure of Gary Waddock. And in tennis, Andy Murray has called on the world's elite players and the Grand Slam tournaments to help fund an increase in prize money at lower levels of the sport. Murray says winners of a week-long tournament can take home as little as £850 in prize money.
This is something that the players maybe that are playing at the top of the game would have to accept and say, yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to make tennis a better sport, and we want to make it easier for more players to make a living. And it's not about making millions, it's about being able to make a living.
BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 8.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
459 455 555. Lots we're talking about. Changes to the CSA so that, if you're making a claim to an ex-partner to get maintenance, not only will the ex-partner have to pay a fee, 20% of what they pay you, to this new body, you'll also have to pay a £20 application fee, and then you, the receiver, has to pay 4%. I'd imagine that money would be pretty tight in that situation. That's why part of the reason you're making the claim.
Something I wonder about, though, is if a partner
Yeah.
is not paying you money knowing that it's going to your children,
Yeah.
why is he going to pay money knowing it's going to the government? Or she?
Exactly. It does. It's primary, let's be honest.
They just make it worth it by keeping running, surely.
Yeah. It's a weird one, that. But then again, I guess that we were paying for the CSA before. It was coming out of our tax. And there will be some people listening, no doubt, or maybe there won't.
But you know what? You're not paying the parents, really, are you? You're paying to help children.
Yeah, but there will be some people saying, well, why should my tax go towards helping people who couldn't make a marriage work?
But it's not that, is it? It's helping their children. It's not their fault.
OK, well, why should I'm playing devil's advocate, better than Darkest How does these days.
Go on.
Why should my money... by the way, if you want to hear a really uncomfortable interview where I'm branded a racist, please download last week's podcast. So awkwado. There will be
people. You use the term your people.
Your people, referring to me and white people. There will be... OK, why should I have to pay for somebody else's child?
Because that child will be paying your upkeep when you're old.
Oh, that is nonsense. I'll be dead. I had a premonition at the age of 17 I was going to die at 42.
Oh.
42. In a car crash.
I thought that too when I was in my mid-20s, that I was going to go in a car crash.
At what age?
Any time.
Well, the way you drive, possible. I have a specific age, 42, and it's just... So I remember being 17 and having this image of me dying in a car crash, and I'm a year and 2 weeks away from death.
Wow. You should be living like it's there's no tomorrow then. Buy that drum kit.
Oh, but then I won't get my money's worth from it.
You will. You play it like... and you'll learn it.
Do you know what I mean, Joss? You believe in special powers, don't you?
I do indeed. I have them.
Ever had a premonition about your death?
No. But I've had premonitions about other people's deaths.
Really?
And sadly, that's actually happened.
Wowzers.
Absolutely.
There's more stuff, by the way. The Daily Mail, there's more stuff about... more bullshine about ghosts and stuff.
Hey, come on. How much Ev do you need?
Each time one of my relatives died...
Yes.
A clock stopped.
Well, I mentioned this the other week. All of my clocks stopped on the same day.
Yeah, but...
at the same time.
No.
Well, when I realised it was the same time.
You couldn't verify they'd all stopped at, 12 minutes past 3.
Yeah, OK, but in two separate properties.
Here we go.
My home and my parents' home. Work that one out.
Penny Daniels, 56, a management consultant, is divorced and lives in Hassocks. She says, the phone rang, it was my dead dad. In 2001, I was going through a particularly desolate and difficult period. My father, George, a soldier turned accountant, had died the year before from a heart attack, aged 81. I missed him, dreadfully. I'd also recently lost my father-in-law, Tom, to whom I was very close, and my 20-year marriage had just broken up. In the small hours of my 43rd birthday that March, I was at my lowest ebb, lying in bed alone after a restless sleep. Then, my landline phone rang. I jumped out of bed and answered it, wondering who might be calling me at such an early hour. To my astonishment, the voice on the end of the line was my father, George's. "Penny? Hello?" he said, as if checking it was me. My jaw fell. My heart seemed to stop beating momentarily. I answered, "Hello, hello." But there was no other sound. Then the line went dead, and all I could hear was the dial tone. I stood looking at the receiver in my hand for some time, feeling completely shaken. Then I realised that my father, aware that I was alone on my birthday, wanted to let me know he was watching over me. He died so very suddenly, and we never got to say goodbye, so I think he brought about this one last encounter to give me comfort from the other side. I climbed back into my bed and pulled the duvet up to my chin, with an eerie sense of calm washing over me.
Beautifully read.
Penny, hello? Now, I can explain that.
Go on.
It was a dream.
I don't believe in that.
Someone else.
Yeah, it was a dream.
Your birthday?
Or it was someone else. One of those two. It weren't her dead dad. I tell you why, Justin.
Yep.
He was dead.
Hey, listen, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in phone calls from the dead. I'm not quite sure how the mobile phone technology works up there, but I don't believe in that, but I do believe, obviously, in the paranormal.
Obviously.
Have you been on Twitter recently?
Not really. What, in the last, 10 minutes? I've had a quick look. Yeah, a few people with my picture saying Dealey says, which is very nice.
Yeah,
trending.
It's trending, mate.
Excellent.
It's not just a few people.
Well, it is.
It's a few people,
it's literally
but
a few people.
It's about 6. But the internet basically it's just pictures of you looking
buff.
I was going to say, well, yeah, buff. Okay, yeah, buff. Let's say buff. Bros, looking bros, buff bros.
Yeah.
Now listen, e-cigarettes.
Yeah, you don't like them, do you?
I don't, mate. I don't. I think they're dangerous. I think they are dangerous because they are normalising smoking. My boys will grow up thinking, as I thought it was all right to smoke because everyone smoked in the 70s and the 80s. My boys will think it's all right to smoke these things, which, while they don't do the harm of proper cigarettes, they are still addictive. You're still ingesting nicotine.
Yeah.
And also, I don't like the smugness of vapists. They're so smug.
I know what you're saying. It'll be interesting to hear from people this morning because I've been down the pub recently and a couple of people have been told you can't smoke that in here.
Good.
We're not talking about real cigarettes, we're talking about e-cigarettes. e-cigarettes, and they've got very, very angry about this, saying, well, what's the problem? You know, it's not real smoke. Well, their reply would be, our customers don't like it because there is still smoke going up in the air. Also, a number of football grounds have banned them recently as well, because they would say, well, people can see smoke in the air. That then means that other people might light up a real cigarette because there's still smoke in the air. But I have been getting reaction in Luton this morning about e-cigarettes, and this reaction, Ian, is going to be music to your ears. Now, Judy, Ian's ranting this morning about these e-cigarettes. He's saying, well, if you are using them, you're still smoking, and as a nurse, you're having the same conversation with your patients, aren't you?
Yes, I think it's the same cigarette. You're still smoking, you're still inhaling nicotine. It's not like it's a fake one or a toy or anything, it's real. So that's what I was telling my patient yesterday. He said, oh no, it's not like the normal one. I said, as long as nicotine is there, and that's why you're here. You're waiting for the doctor to see you. So it's not good.
So the person that you were seeing was there because they've been smoking for years and they'd had health problems, and they've gone onto these e-cigarettes and they're claiming that they'd actually given up.
Yes, they've been having COPD, which is a chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. As nurses and what we learn in school and everything, it's the same problem. It's the same poison. It's the same poison going into your system. You know, it's not like a toy or something, but it's real. The nicotine is there. Yeah. Yes.
So if you want to give up completely. Don't be tricked. Thank you very much indeed for your time, Judy.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Laura, you've just lit up a cigarette here. You have tried e-cigarettes. Yes. How did you get on?
Didn't get on with them. It wasn't something that I could maintain, shall we say. Yeah.
Was it the taste or...?
No, I just think it was too much difference. And I wasn't encouraged to overly use them, I suppose.
I mean, Ian's been on a rant this morning saying, do you know what, if you're on these e-cigarettes, you haven't given up at all because you're still putting nicotine into your body. Yeah. Would you go along with that?
Definitely. I know there's people that have used them that I know that have quit, but the vast majority just stay on them and they don't quit.
So all along, you're still, at the end of the day, putting nicotine into your body?
Yes, totally.
Also, part of me thinks, if you're going to smoke properly. Do it properly. Stop wimping out.
Obviously, these e-cigarettes are less harmful than real cigarettes, but you can't get any more credible than that. A nurse backing you up this morning, having conversations with people all the time, people claiming they have given up smoking, but they are still putting nicotine, in her words, poison into your body.
Something that also we need to remember is that they're still waiting to find out exactly what the long-term effect of this stuff is.
Yeah, it's all new, of course.
And it's not regulated, so depending on where you buy it from, could have different stuff in it.
Only time will tell on, what they come up with scientifically on these e-cigarettes, but loads of people are using them. You see it every single weekend.
I'll tell you something, though. I tried to have a conversation with someone who was smoking on an e-hubble bubble. I had a really hard time not laughing. I had a really hard time not doing it. It's like him getting a bubble pipe out and starting blowing bubble. It's ridiculous. Come on.
And also they do it for a couple of puffs. And then they put it away. Come on, do it. And have you seen them? Because when they first came out, right, they're all nice and clean and shiny. Now they're filthy because people have been screwing them away in their pocket or in their bag, and they are filthy.
Have you seen the lights on these things as well? I mean, years ago, I used to do a mobile disco every single weekend. I'm thinking, do you know what? I could have literally 100 e-cigarettes in a row there. Yeah. I wouldn't need lights anymore. Well. They are that flashy.
Kath?
Daft. It's daft.
It's daft, isn't it? Justin, thank you very much. Go and embrace the Twitter love that's there for you, Justin. People are digging you. Hashtag Dealey Says is really taking the internet by storm. There are at least 6 or 7 people that have done it now, which has got to be great news. Shall we have a quick look at the front page of the papers? Yes, let's start with the important ones. The Daily Mail. They're still you're haunting stories of ghostly experiences. Why on earth are they doing that rubbish?
They've run out of cats in hats.
We are entering what I believe is called the silly season, aren't we? Where they don't have any news stories.
Yep.
Hey, do you remember that plane that disappeared?
Yes.
What happened to that?
Well, the pilot's wife has had a baby.
Oh, has she?
Yeah.
Isn't that suspicious?
No. Not really. And she's named it after her husband, who's missing, presumed dead. That was in the paper yesterday.
Why are we not... So, hang on a second. Things that have disappeared from the front pages... the 300-odd people that died in that aeroplane, the 270 girls that have been kidnapped. Things that should be on the front pages that aren't. Instead, we get on the Daily Express, how to boost your pension, and The Sun, dear Mr Hook, don't worry, we'll keep paying for your wife and kids, lots of love, Her Majesty's government. And to Lisa, my hell over sex tape. But that's the front page, guys. That's the front pages.
You know, sex tapes?
Yeah. What?
I prefer to imagine that, you know, what it might be like rather than actually... I don't think I need to see myself in that light.
We have young ears listening.
Not that it happens anymore. I've got 2 children.
We have young ears listening, so we're going to tread carefully. But why on earth would anybody film themselves? Okay.
It can only ruin it, can't it?
And then go, hey, that was great. Shall we watch that back? Oh, my God, we look horrible. We look ugly and horrible and ridiculous. That's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm never going there again. That would be the reaction, because you'd imagine it's going to be like an adult movie where it's all lit well and...
Those guys are professionals.
They know exactly... They've done it many, many times under very tough conditions. And then you put yourself on and you'd be going, oh, look at our curtains, aren't they dirty? Mm-hmm. Oh, we need to change the sheets.
And you're not thinking about working your angles.
I'm always thinking about working my angles. I'm always thinking. 08459 455 555. I keep saying we'll do the papers. We will do in a bit, I promise.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Looking very heavy at the moment on the Great North Road, just before the Black Cat roundabout. Taking a look at Langford, Edworth Road at the moment is partially blocked between London Road and Cambridge Road. That's because of an accident that just happened there. The A1M heading southbound very slow on the speed sensors between Junction 8 for Stevenage and Junction 7. Also heavy on the M1 between Junction 10 Luton Airport and Junction 9 for Redbourne. And taking a look at the sensors on the M25 heading anti-clockwise, very slow at the moment between Junction 21A for St Albans and Junction 15 the M4. Rather heavy moving on the A41 London bound between the Hemel Hempstead turn-off and Junction 20 for Kings Langley. And so far on the trains, no reported problems or delays. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. Sorry? Who's an idiot?
I know you're going to ring me.
No, I'm not. I was trying to text someone the number 46,000 and I realised I hadn't put the comma in, and so it looked confusing, so I had to go back and put the comma in.
Oh, is that in your headlines?
It might be, yeah. 7:46, it's Wednesday the 21st of May. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Letters are being sent to thousands of single parents, warning them they'll be charged a fee in future if they use a government agency to administer maintenance payments. The problem of traveller horses getting killed at the roadside in Hertfordshire is at crisis level on the A414. That's according to a horse charity. And Royal Mail is to start delivering parcels on Sundays. The company, which was privatised last year, will begin a trial scheme in and around London, including parts of the Three Counties. More of your calls in a minute, but before that, let's get the weather with Kate.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. It is actually a beautiful start right the way across. We've got blue sky and sunshine. The further east you go, you may run into a bit more cloud and a stronger possibility of a shower. But for now, let's just enjoy the sunshine. Later on this afternoon, 1 or 2 showers may pop up again, probably likely to be further east. The maximum temperature could get up to around 20 Celsius. It could feel warm in the sunshine. Overnight tonight, our weather gets rather interesting. We'll start to notice the clouds start to thicken as the sun sets. It sets just before 9, and then we'll notice the cloud thicken, and through the middle part of the night some very heavy rain on the way. We've got quite a lively weather front moving in from the near continent, bringing with it heavy bursts of rain. We could see 20-30 millimetres in a short space of time. Locally perhaps a little more. Thunder, lightning, it's all going to be quite wild and furious for a time. The wind will pick up too. Minimum temperature down to 11 Celsius. May still have a bit of that left around first thing tomorrow morning, but it will continue on its journey northwards. Behind it, dry and bright, some sunny spells. Again, some thundery showers tomorrow afternoon. The maximum temperature, though, it's going to feel humid tomorrow. 22 Celsius, that's 72 degrees in Fahrenheit. And that's your forecast.
Roberto Perrone.
Gardeners wanting to rid their spring flower beds of snails can ditch the beer traps and eggshells and instead develop a strong throwing arm instead.
Weekdays from 3.
I don't think there's any ethical dilemma about throwing them as opposed to killing them. It's clearly better to throw them.
Hertfordshire Police are warning drivers to take extra precautions with their vehicles following a rise in the number of cars stolen using specialised hacking equipment. 2/3 of teachers say poor writing has prevented them giving the marks a student truly deserves.
Roberto Perrone.
I do the animal stories. I also do the space stories, apparently.
Weekdays from 3 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
We're just talking about, and we'll tread carefully, the talk of adults
recording your memories.
Recording your memories in the bedroom. Recording your bedroom memories. And we're just saying, wouldn't it, imagine if your kids found that. And it reminds me of a time... I do hope my mum's not listening. She does sometimes now, or a friend of hers does at least, and relates it to her. It reminds me of a time when I was younger and I went through my mum's bedside drawer and I found a book entitled The Joy of Sex. The Joy of Sex. Now, that's pretty tame by comparison. Have you ever seen the book, Kelly?
No,
it's
but
very
I
70s.
found something similar.
Did you really?
Well,
we'll go no further. We'll go no further. I do enjoy this job. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. Hey, do you remember a while ago we told you that some parents need reminding not to smoke all over kids playing in parks in south-west Hertfordshire? Well, the council put signs up, didn't they? The same's about to happen in Buckinghamshire and the Aylesbury Vale, while councils are piloting smoke-free parks with signs. Joanne Wilson is a public health practitioner from Buckinghamshire County Council. Good morning, Joanne.
Good morning.
Will these signs be backed up with smoking patrols or CCTV? How is it going to be enforced?
It's literally a voluntary ban, so it's a ban where we're inviting parents to respect children's play areas and not smoking in front of them, but it's not going to be backed up by any heavy-handed approach, so it really is appealing to parents.
Oh, so but surely if parents are prepared to smoke near kids anyway, and it's only a voluntary situation, they're not going to pay any attention, are they?
No, I would disagree with that. So we did an initial survey a couple of weeks ago with parents in the parks that we're piloting this in, and over 90% of them were in favour of a voluntary ban, because quite often parents don't realise the impact that their smoking will have on children's intentions to start smoking themselves, and that's really what this is all about. So it's less about the issue of second-hand smoke, and it's more about trying to reduce
that 90%
behaviour.
That 90% that said they were in favour, were they smokers?
Some of them were smokers. It was about a third of them who were smokers.
Right, OK.
Yeah, so
I suppose it's people's choices as well, though, isn't it? If they want to smoke outside, then, the kids are off playing. If they want to have a cheeky little fag, it's the only chance they've got.
Well... cheeky little fag, it's an interesting term. This is what it is. It's a voluntary ban, so it's not going to stop them from doing that. But we have found in other areas that have initiated these bans that parents do comply with them, actually. And we don't need to have a heavy-handed approach and evoke legislation or use CCTV cameras, because actually smoking behaviour does reduce, and attitudes to smoking in parks change, and litter's reduced. So we know from other areas that this does have an impact, and we're just going to pilot it in 5 parks in Aylesbury Vale to see if we can achieve the same kind of impact.
OK, Joanne, well, good luck. I hope it does have some kind of impact. Joanne Wilson, a public health practitioner from Buckinghamshire County Council.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I just think if you're not going to enforce it, well, it's voluntary. Voluntary. Can't say it.
No, you can't.
Well, can you help?
Voluntary.
I can't say it. Voluntary. Kels?
Voluntary.
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 Can you say voluntarily?
Yeah.
Go on then.
Voluntarily. What's wrong? That was right. Why are you laughing at that one? A bit content light, that story. No. Well, it was... Listen, hey, guys, it was 45 seconds of radio. What can I tell you? You pay your licence fee, you takes your choice. I've not got anything now up until 8.
The people I see smoking at night in my local park are normally under the age of about 15. And that's been the traditional place where that is done.
Oh, bless them.
That's going to spoil it for them, isn't it? Or they're going to ignore the signs.
Yeah? I mean, we're really trying to get milk out of a stone here.
Milk.
Yeah.
Why do you say milk? Where does it come from?
Well, I say it because
you
if
must know it's wrong.
It comes from a cow. It comes from a cow's boobs.
Oh, right, okay. So does milk. How do you spell milk?
My brain is really trying to work out how I'm going to save this hour. And you having a pop at me because I pronounce milk is lemonade round the corner. Chocolates made. If you are not helping. You are not part of the solution. You are the problem.
I stopped listening ages ago.
Oh, Kath, can you give her a slap for me, please?
No.
Why?
Because I like her.
Oh.
In fact, you know what I'm going to do?
Do you want to come on and save the show, Joyce?
Oh, yeah. What's going on there? That's nuts. That's a spontaneous hug.
Yep.
Remember those weirdos that were going around giving out hugs? There's like an organisation, isn't there?
Free hugs.
Free hugs. Oh, I hate all of that stuff. And they have signs.
I wonder how many of them got a free punch in the face.
Yeah. This is.
I don't like uninitiated hugs.
I don't like that either. You're not very tactile. We've established
I'm
this.
hugely tactile. I just don't touch you.
I know. If I walk past you, you flinch.
Well, that's because you generally walk past me and throw something.
It's not always the case.
It's often the case.
Fader 1 is Joyce and Leagrave to save the hour.
Kath.
Ow! Oh, there's a window.
Joyce!
Good morning, my lord and master.
That's the way to address me, Joyce. You've learnt. Well done, and thank you so much for the other weekend. What fun that was, wasn't it? Didn't we have a great time?
I would just like to correct you. It isn't milk out of a stone. The old wording is blood out of a stone. I don't know how and what, but the saying is it's blood out of a stone, not milk.
Well, I was well, Joyce, you're correct. 5 points for that, but I'm going to deduct 5 points.
Oh.
Yes, exactly. Not because of the weekend, because I always hold that very, very close to my heart. But
stinker.
Oh, I've been handed a Madeleine. No, because I was saying it was even harder than getting blood out of a stone.
Right.
It was even tougher. I was getting milk out of a stone, which makes even harder to do.
I see.
Basically,
I stand corrected.
Basically, let's be honest, that story about signs in the park and smoking was a stinker, wasn't it?
Oh, yes.
I mean, if they're not going to enforce it, I'm putting some posters up in my house when I get round to it.
No, you shouldn't. No one should ever smoke. My dad died of pneumonia from the coal mines. And if you see people suffer from cannot breathing because of their lungs, you would not touch any cigarette.
Do you agree with me, Joyce, about these vapists, these electronic cigarette smokers?
I don't agree with them at all.
I don't agree with them. They say, I'm not doing... The thing is, it's better for me than normal cigarettes. Yeah, whatever. And I'm doing no one any harm. Yes, you are. You're normalising smoking again. We've come so far in the last 20 years.
Yes.
And now you're making smoking look like it's okay again.
You're making it fashionable and the children will learn your habits.
Exactly.
Don't do it.
Exactly.
Please.
Are you free this weekend, Joyce?
I don't know quite yet. I have to think about it.
Same hotel?
Bye.
Ta-ta. There we go.
That's what's known as the brush-off.
I like it when Joyce hangs up on you.
Sorry?
I like it when Joyce hangs up on you.
The brush-off, you say?
Hey, we've had a vaguely disappointed text.
Oh, go on.
I drive from the A10 to the M1 along the A414, and in 3 years I've never seen a single horse death, let alone 40 in the last year, says David.
You would think you would know about it more. I've not heard Simon Oxley do any stories about horses being killed.
We'll keep an eye out for them in future.
I think we should do.
Matt in Luton says, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that CSA deductions are taken before tax. It therefore seems coincidental that the proposed charges for the payee are 20%, the same rate as basic tax. Spooky, says Matt in Luton.
It's let's be honest, guys, this is what it is. It's a tax on the poor and the vulnerable. That's what it is. It's another tax on the poor and the vulnerable. Those people who are most in need of money are being penalised. They're being penalised for their relationships failing, and they are being penalised because they need assistance. Whereas, I don't know, why doesn't Starbucks pay tax?
Is he talking to us again?
Yeah.
I never know.
No, it's good. It's a good point.
Yeah, should we just nod and pretend that we're listening, but we're actually...
I wouldn't mind, but he pretty much funds Starbucks, doesn't he, with his coffee habit?
No.
Goes off about the amount they pay or don't pay.
I know, it's weird. Susanna Reid's legs look great on...
Oh, look, there's that girl out of Eldorado.
Oh, yeah.
So they're going to be going without food.
Julie Fernandez on Good Morning Britain.
What, you know when we get real jobs, where do you think you'd work?
So what the government needs to do
I'm
is
sort of
to
hoping
ensure
to
that these bigger companies, your
give it all up and... When I win the lottery, you mean?
Yeah.
I'm going to give it all up and run a bookshop.
Are you?
Yeah. I won't make any money, but it'd just be a laugh, won't it?
Can I come along and read to the children?
Of course you can. As long as you do the voices.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
rest of
Kids
society
like me 'cause
would
I'm
be
similar to
okay.
them.
It's as simple as that. You agree, girls?
Yeah, absolutely.
Completely.
Excellent.
Travel news for beds, cards, and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The A1, the Great North Road, rather heavy moving just before the Black Cat roundabout. And taking a look at the A1M heading southbound on the speed sensors, very slow between Junction 8 for Stevenage and Junction 7. The M1 heading southbound, very slow between Junction 12 for Flitwick and Junction 11 at Dunstable Road. Also heavy on the M1 between Junction 10 at Luton Airport and Junction 9 for Redbourne. Some major roadworks continuing there. Very slow on the M25 anti-clockwise between Junction 21A for St Albans and Junction 15 the M4. And in Cheshunt, the A10's looking very slow at the moment between the Great Cambridge Road and Junction 25 for Enfield. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Nicola. I'm watching the most ridiculous mime next door. Oh no, people! These Dealey Says pictures, people have started pimping them. Oh, Carpet Martin, naughty, naughty, naughty.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headlines: single parents to be charged a fee if they can't agree maintenance payments, warning over traveller horses in Hertfordshire, and Buckinghamshire Council putting up anti-smoking signs in parks.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Letters are being sent to thousands of single parents warning them they'll be charged a fee in future if they use a government agency to administer maintenance payments. From later this year, the parent paying maintenance will have a 20% charge added, while the parent receiving the money will pay 4%. Ministers want to encourage people to come to voluntary arrangements. Janet Alberson is from the single-parent charity Gingerbread.
Our worry is that by putting up cost barriers to use a new child maintenance service, that some single parents who really need the new CMS to ensure their children get financial support may simply give up altogether or feel pressurised to settle for inadequate or unstable arrangements.
The problem of traveller horses getting killed at the roadside in Hertfordshire is at a crisis level, according to a charity. The local branch of the British Horse Society says more than 40 have been removed from the A414 corridor in the last year. Jeanette Allen is the chief executive of the Buckinghamshire-based Horse Trust.
We've been involved in a number of cases in the Hertfordshire area where the RSPCA have attempted to make a prosecution against owners who have been from that community. I would stress, though, we can't say all of these horses come from that community. We've recently picked up some thoroughbreds in a terrible condition that were deliberately dumped in a field in Buckinghamshire. They didn't come from that community.
Police are investigating how an 8-year-old boy died after coming off his bike in Hertfordshire. It happened on Monday evening at Macefield Avenue in Boreham Wood. The boy was taken to hospital but died shortly afterwards. Hertfordshire police are appealing for witnesses. An investigation is underway into the cause of a fire in Hertfordshire in which an elderly woman died. Firefighters tackled the blaze in a terraced house in Hampden Crescent in Cheshunt at around midday yesterday. Neighbouring homes were evacuated. Buckinghamshire County Council is putting up signs in parks and play areas asking people to avoid smoking. Earlier this year, signs saying young lungs at play were approved in southwest Hertfordshire. Joanne Wilson is a public health practitioner from Bucks County Council.
It's literally a voluntary ban, so it's a ban where we're inviting parents to respect children's play areas and not smoking in front of them, but it's not going to be backed up by any heavy-handed approach. We know from other areas that this does have an impact, and we're just going to pilot it in 5 parks in Aylesbury Vale to see if we can achieve the same kind of impact.
Royal Mail is to start delivering parcels on Sundays. The company, which was privatised last year, will begin a trial scheme in and around London, including parts of the 3 counties. Royal Mail is considering whether to introduce regular Sunday deliveries. In sport, England's cricketers have made made a losing start to the summer, with Sri Lanka winning last night's 2020 International at the Oval by 9 runs. The weather, some bright spells, but showers this afternoon and heavier rain this evening. A maximum temperature 19 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/Three Counties.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
The friendliness of a country village.
It's all about where you live.
Oh, here for life now. Got everything I want, really.
And all this week, we're featuring Wendover.
I've lived here since 1966.
It's just absolutely great. It's got so much to offer.
The big tour of beds, hearts and bucks. BBC Three Counties Radio.
This is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It's 4 minutes past 8. Hashtag Dealey Says is trending worldwide. And the Sun has got his hat on. Hip, hip, hip. We can't sing that song anymore. Changes to child support being brought in. Oh, yeah, if you're a parent and you're either paying maintenance or receiving it, well, you'll also be paying a fee as well. Does that sound fair to you? More people are giving up smoking by going to e-cigarettes than by any other form of giving up. Well, hang on a second, guys. The Emperor is naked. Can't you see? You're not giving up smoking. You're still smoking. If you want to get in touch, if you want to get in contact, if you want to have a picture of Justin Dealey topless, then go to, and that's actually true, go to facebook.com/BBC3CR. That's what the internet was made for. Or you can send me a text, 81333, start your text 3CR, or the best way to get in touch is to give me a call, 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, tens of thousands of divorced or separated parents will get a letter this week warning them they'll be charged if they have to involve what was the CSA in their child maintenance disputes. This summer, the Child Support Agency will be replaced by the Child Maintenance Service. The Department of Work and Pensions is warning it can no longer afford to get involved in every case automatically, so if you want their help, you'll have to pay. Mary Banham-Hall is a family solicitor and mediator from Focus Mediation in Milton Keynes. Joins me now. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning.
What do you think of this new child maintenance service?
Well, I think one of the most interesting things about it is they've left out the word enforcement. It was going to be called the Child Maintenance and Enforcement Agency, and they've left that word out, but actually the law that would have justified that is still there. So I think we're seeing a big change. Well, we're seeing several big changes. And depending on your perspective, some people will like it and some won't. I think one of the really important things to notice is that the information about the paying parent's income is going to be readily available because HMRC, the tax people, are going to have to give that information. So unless you're prepared to defraud the Inland Revenue and risk going to prison, they're going to have pretty accurate information about the paying parent's income, which is probably the first example I can think of a bit of joined-up government, actually. So that's quite interesting.
Go on. I was going to say, we talk about enforcement. Will it be able to enforce? Because the Child Support Agency struggled, didn't it? It was quite toothless.
No, it will be able to enforce. But let's just go back to your opening comments about fees. There'll be a £20 application fee, which I think most people will be able to find. Thereafter, you're going to be encouraged to make your own arrangement. And if you make your own arrangement, you won't pay anything. And if they calculate it for you and you make your own payment arrangement, you won't pay anything. So The only people who are going to pay this 20% on top of the child maintenance assessment and the 4% from the receiving parent are the ones where it's not being paid, and there'd be no reason to invoke that service unless you needed it.
Why should the parent who's receiving the money be penalised because they've got a slacker of an ex-partner who won't pay? And we do know that lots of people refuse to pay.
I know, and I think it won't always be fair. It's an example of trying to make the rules fit everybody and it not being perfect for anyone. But there are people who apply out of spite and anger and in temper. And it will make them pause for thought. Because if they're actually receiving maintenance, why apply? If they're trying to make the other person pay 20% extra out of fury, why shouldn't they take a hit too? So I can understand that.
But it also, surely, the £20 fee, I mean, hey, listen, I can afford 20 quid, but there are lots of single parents who can't afford 20 quid. They're deciding whether they're going to buy some food or a new pair of shoes. So that could put them off, couldn't it?
It could. And from that perspective, it is hard. But it's an example of trying to come up with something that fits everyone.
What have parents been saying to you about the new scheme?
Well, not a lot, actually, because most people, most of the people I come across actually pay maintenance. And so this is designed for the people who I may never meet because they're doing their own thing or perhaps doing nothing. I think you might find it quite interesting to hear some of the enforcement provisions, which include you can go to court and get a liability order, or the Child Maintenance Service can, and they can take away your driving licence. They can take money from your bank accounts, and of course they'll have details of those from the revenue. They can put a charge against your house so you can't sell or remortgage, or they can even force a sale. So I think
just assuming that the person owns a house and has a mortgage.
Precisely.
Because I'm imagining that lots of single parents and split up couples won't have property, won't necessarily have cars or a huge income. A lot of these people haven't got much money.
Well, people with nothing won't have to pay anything or very, very little. So it's not designed to punish people who have nothing. It is designed to make people who can pay. And I think we have to look at this in context of how much the country is paying in tax credits for families with children on low incomes. And we have already significantly shifted the cost of rearing children in poorer households to the state, because very often the largest source of income will be tax credits, not maintenance or what people are earning.
Mary, do you think this will ultimately lead to a better system?
I think it will, but I think it's going to be really, really tough for the first few years. But I think what will happen is people will realise they're going to have to pay. They will go online and use this excellent calculator. I have to say, whether it's right or not, of course, I don't know. But it looked to me as though it was working, and it came out with an answer really quickly. They're going to work out what they should pay, and they're going to pay it. And people are actually coming in and saying, well, I've been online, I've worked out what the child support should be, and they know the figure. So if people are married, they're then discussing what should be paid by way of additional maintenance to the wife or the husband at home, because, of course, it doesn't stop with child support where there's been a marriage and one person's on a very high income and one on a low income.
Mary, I appreciate your time this morning. Mary Banham-Hall, family solicitor and mediator from Focus Mediation in Milton Keynes, seems to think that generally it's a good idea. Take a while, as these things always do, to settle in, but she thinks it'd be a good idea. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you are claiming maintenance from a partner. How effective has the CSA been, and do you think this system will be fairer, better? 08459 455 555.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
08459 455 555. Let's do the front pages of the newspapers. Hey, what's going on here? The Guardian. Oh dear. Inside Syria, ancient ways to kill amid the barbarity of civil war, and Labour and Tory ratings suffer as Farage attacks backfire. Hey, that guy's indestructible, isn't he? Farage is indestructible. He's been outed as being, let's say, xenophobic at best. You could say racist, but xenophobic. Let's be generous. And people are still going, yeah, he's great, though, isn't he? He's a great guy.
Left-wing conspiracy, all this stuff, isn't it?
Elections tomorrow. Be interesting to see what happens. The European election results come out sort of Sunday night, I think, don't they? So, hey, me and you, Kath, we're doing a show on Monday. Just me and you, Bank Holiday Special.
We are, yeah.
Maybe we'll throw some of those results in the mix.
Let's.
You going to bring some records in?
I haven't got any records.
Hey, bring some CDs in then.
Really?
Well...
You don't want me to do that?
No, I don't. I don't.
Yeah. I might have my 5-star one somewhere. 5-star?
So it's going to be exciting. It's me and Catherine in this. We're calling it the Iain and Kath show.
Yeah.
Glossop Glossop's going to be working the phones.
Poor Alice Glossop.
I know, but if she wants to work in radio, she's got to start at the bottom and work up. That's what I always tell work experience people anyway. You get it?
Yeah, I got it.
The Daily Telegraph. There's a brilliant picture on the front page of the Daily Telegraph. It's loads of sailors on a ship, but then the Queen stood at the front.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
It's like a mass Titanic. You know, that bit at the beginning at the front.
Yeah.
She's the king of the world. She's actually nearly the king of the world.
I watched Titanic last Christmas before. I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, do you know what?
It's a good film.
For the first 2 times I saw it in Spanish. Better in Spanish.
Why?
Because
I'm not interested.
Made the script better in my own head.
The Times. Here's something. You know, when you, for example, Murakami, Japanese author, I like his books. His endings are always very weak, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm not reading Murakami's work. I'm reading the translator's work, because the translator isn't just translating every single... It's not like Google Translate or something, or Babelfish. They're having to translate it, get the essence of it, and still make it poetic and creative.
That's it, and make it sound like your language.
Yeah. I want to read some translators' books, because those guys are brilliant. They've really got a command of the language.
There is an artistry involved.
There genuinely is.
Mm-hmm. Or you could learn Japanese and read the proper thing.
That's not a bad idea, actually.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Langford, Edgeworth Road is partially blocked at the moment because of an accident between London Road and Cambridge Road. The A1M heading southbound very heavy at the moment between Junction 8 for Stevenage and Junction 7. The M1 heading southbound on the speed sensors very heavy at the moment between Junction 10 Luton Airport and Junction 9 for Redbourne. The M25 heading anti-clockwise very slow at the moment between Junction 21A for St Albans and Junction 15 the M4. In St Albans rather heavy on Holywell Hill in both directions between London Road and Albert Street, and so far looking at the trains, no reported problems or delays. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. Right, it's 8:16. It's Wednesday, the 21st of May. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Letters are being sent to thousands of single parents, warning them they'll be charged a fee in future if they use a government agency to administer maintenance payments. The problem of traveller horses getting killed at the roadside in Hertfordshire is at crisis level on the A414. That's according to a horse charity. And Buckinghamshire County Council is putting up signs in parks and play areas asking people to avoid smoking.
BBC Three Counties Radio. If you've missed any of the programmes from the last week, you've missed things like this.
I don't want to say cured me, but it didn't quite bring down the level of sort of background anxiety that you get with generalised anxiety disorder.
But there is a way you can hear it all again. Do you feel like a different person?
Completely.
Go to bbc.co.uk/Three Counties and click on Listen Again.
Throughout this whole interview, you've been very calm and quite chirpy, not anxious at all.
bbc.co.uk/Three Counties.
Jonathan Vernon Smith, why are you looking like that?
No, I'm just pre-reading what I'm reading.
There was a very strange hunched. You were that's it. You're hunched over there, and your eyes are vibrating.
I was quickly scan reading. You see, just to make sure I'm not going to read anything bad.
Are you a big reader?
Only on holiday. It's
Really?
the only time I can relax enough to read.
Really?
Otherwise, yes, the minute I sit down with a book, I think, I must go and put the washing in.
Oh, you're one of those.
All right, I can't relax at all unless I'm on holiday.
Oh, I love a good book.
Do you?
Yeah, I've normally got one or two on at a go.
Oh, gosh. What have you got on the go at the moment?
I've just finished a book and I can't... Kurt Vonnegut's Letters.
Oh.
Yeah, he's an American author reading his letters.
That doesn't sound like my kind of book.
OK, the book before was about 1960s psychedelic group, the 13th Floor Elevators. Rocky Erickson, would you like that? Like to borrow that?
No, I like autobiographies. You know, Joe Brand...
I bet you like. And they put a chocolate on the pillow in the hotel.
Yeah,
what did they put a chocolate for?
Michael McIntyre's autobiography.
Goodness
that
sakes.
had me wetting myself.
Oh, flipping it! They put a chocolate on the pillow in the hotel. I don't know what for.
You don't like Michael McIntyre?
No, I don't.
Oh, he's very good.
No, he's not. He's bland.
No, he's not. He's clever.
He's not clever. He's derivative.
No, he's not. He always says what you're thinking.
But what I'm thinking isn't very funny.
Really? Oh.
Riders?
Yeah,
a bit of Jilly Cooper?
Jilly Cooper, no.
I like the cover to that.
No, I'm not into any of that. No, I like a political biography as well.
Okay, okay, all right, Mr. Intellectual.
Yes.
Okay, all right, Mr. Redgate.
You know, give me Tony Blair's autobiography on Malilo in Frigaliana, that kind of thing.
I bet you're fun to go on holiday with.
Yeah, I love all that, yeah.
What's on your show today?
Well, coming up on the big phone in this morning from 9, picking up on this smoking ban in Buckinghamshire parks, or an attempt to.
Yeah.
I'm asking this morning, would you like to see smoking completely banned in parks? Buckinghamshire County Council, they're putting signs in parks and play areas asking people to please avoid smoking. Earlier this year, Three Rivers District Council, they placed warning signs in their parks saying young lungs at play. Some of their signs have already been vandalised and have since been replaced. Well, this morning from 9, I want your views on this. Would you like to see smoking completely banned in parks? Do you think that it's just unpleasant? You're out there for a stroll, beautiful summer's day like today.
Beautiful.
You're out for a stroll, and you've got some group of people smoking their fags as they walk along, and you've got to breathe in their foul smoke. Do you think in beautiful places, beautiful public places, it's not a place for people to be chuffing away with their lungs?
Chuffing away?
From 9 this morning, I'd like your views. Perhaps you're a smoker and you're outraged at this. You think, oh, for goodness sake, what next?
Yeah.
They're banning it in the workplace, they're banning it in restaurants, in pubs, and now we can't even go for a cheeky sovereign light through the park. From 9 this morning, your calls on 08459 455 555. Would you like to see smoking banned in parks?
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
That's JVS at 9, always worth a listen. You've got another 40 minutes of this show if you want to give us a call. I've yet to have anybody who's called in to defend vaping. These e-cigarettes. There's a story, it was kind of out in some of the papers yesterday, and some of them have picked it up today. Smokers are 60% more likely to quit using e-cigarettes. E-cigarettes really can help people quit smoking and have a 60% better success rate than nicotine patches and gums. No, they don't. They don't. Because you're not quitting smoking. You've not quit smoking. You've quit smoking cigarettes, and now you're smoking e-cigarettes. It's not quit.
You've shifted your addiction to another medium.
You're still addicted. You're still putting money in the pockets of these huge companies, and you're going to put more money in their pockets ultimately because you're going to live longer. You're addicted. You don't need anything, man. Dave's in Luton. Morning, Dave.
Good morning, boss.
What you got for us?
Ban all smoking anywhere, and at the same time, ban all drinking anywhere. Why is this all about smoking and not drinking? You can drink wherever you like.
No, you can't.
Do whatever you like.
You can't drink.
You
can't drink. You can't drink wherever you like, Dave. That's incorrect. Let's try. Start that sentence again and do it correctly this time.
You can drink more places than you can smoking.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, because now they're going to do it in the park about not smoking.
Yeah.
What a ridiculous.
Why is it ridiculous?
And smoke, when you smoke goes up in the air.
Yeah.
It doesn't spread outwards. Yeah. So it's not going to go into kids' lungs down on the ground. It's going to go up in the air.
Yeah. But why would you want to ban drinking in a park then? Because you're not going to spit it into a child's mouth.
Hold on. You go into a park. Yeah,
open your mouth.
No, excuse me. You go into a park and you see the litter of cans.
Okay, well you see the litter of butts. I was in Hampstead Heath the other day. I saw so many butts. It was unbelievable.
And I can tell you now, I won't tell you her name, but the lady caught a finger. She was picking up an empty can. She caught a finger on this can, and it stuck into her thumb. She got her top of her thumb taken off because she's got all the infected.
Why did she stick it? She stuck her finger in a can.
Being nice, she was picking up this empty can, to put in a bin, which some lazy drinker didn't put in. And unfortunately, the top of the can caught her finger and cut it, and it infected, and she's got a quarter of a thumb taken off.
And? Well, we should stop. Okay, right. In that case, we should stop people trying to pick up litter. We should stop do-gooders.
Well, it's a nandy-pansy country, isn't it?
Well, wait a minute. You want to ban boozing?
Yes.
You're bamboozing me. If you want to ban boozing, and then in parks, and then you're saying we live in a namby-pamby country. You're the one that's trying to introduce a ban.
Right, you're talking all about cigarettes all the time. Drinking is more harm than smoking. It could cause more problems in your body, drinking, than smoking.
Well, it can if you do it to excess, but no.
Oh, no, it does. No. You ask any medical person, what is worse, drinking or an actual beer, wine, spirits, anything?
Hot chocolate. And what is worse, drinking or smoking? They'll say smoking, Dave.
Will they?
Thanks for your call. 08459 455 555. Let's throw that out there. What's worse, drinking or smoking? In moderation, smoking is worse. I would say, Catherine?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, thousands of parents are receiving letters this week warning them to agree amicable child maintenance arrangements or face being charged. The government is replacing the Child Support Agency with a new child maintenance service, but says it can no longer automatically be involved in every case. From this summer, if you need to chase an ex-partner who won't pay up, you'll both need to pay a percentage of the outstanding amount as a fee to the CMS. Well, Steve Webb is the Minister of State at the Department for Work and Pensions. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
Steve, this sounds like you're encouraging families to talk to each other, but I guess you're penalising people who are already out of pocket. Why should a single parent have to pay a 4% charge?
So there's a three-stage process here. First of all, we're saying, can you come to what we call a family-based arrangement? Can you sort things out for yourself with our help and support? So we have a free phone child maintenance options service.
But we know that doesn't work. We know that doesn't work.
On the contrary, for lots of families who've told us when we survey the people we currently deal with, a lot of them have said to us, to be honest, actually, perhaps some years after we separated, we could be doing this for ourselves. We don't need a government agency. So the first preference is we help people help themselves. If that doesn't work, they come to us, we charge them £20. That's a one-off fee. We do the calculations. We
Quite often people who are desperate for money and haven't got money, you charge them £20. So already they're being stung.
So the £20 is getting them into the system for a valuable service paid for by the taxpayer.
Okay, but Steve, just address we'll go back to your script in a second, but just address...
No, there's no script, but there's a sequence to this. It's not just about charges.
Let's address one thing at a time, though. You mentioned the £20. A lot of these people are vulnerable and are desperate for money. If they have to pay £20 and then a potential 4% of what they receive to the state, that's going to put vulnerable people off, isn't it?
So the average family, when we get maintenance flowing, gets more than £20 within a week. So the idea is that you pay this one-off fee and then you have a better system than we currently have now because, CSA has been a byword for inefficiency and not getting things done. So the idea is you come to us, we take a lot of the strain, we do a lot of the sums and all the rest of it, and then if we can get payment flowing direct from dad to mum, there are no further charges. So you asked me about this charge. If we're involved, but dad pays mum directly once we're involved, there's no further charge.
Steve, I'm going to ask again about the 4% fee because there is a 4% fee.
There is.
And you say, Dad, it could be mum as well. It goes both ways. If the parent chooses not to pay, and we know on this show and on this station, because we hear lots of stories, that parents often refuse to pay. So, why should a vulnerable parent be penalised with a £20 registration fee and a 4% charge on top of what they're entitled to?
So, the charge is 4%, as you say, for the parent receiving the money and 20% for the parent who we've had to chase, designed to get them to pay directly, at which point all the charges drop away. So the point of the charge, the answer to your question, the point of the charge is to get people to pay directly so that we don't have to be involved and for the benefit of the children.
But Steve, but why would you penalise... I'll ask the question again, because maybe you're not hearing it. Why should we penalise vulnerable single parents with a £20 registration fee and a 4% charge on... In a lot of these cases, every penny counts.
Sure. And it's 4p in the pound...
I know what 4% is, but why would you penalise these people?
If we get the maintenance flowing, so on average we're talking about just over £1 a week, and that means we're getting £33 a week of maintenance, whereas we may be getting nothing. No, hang on a minute. We may be getting nothing at the moment. It doesn't help vulnerable families that you and I care about if we get no maintenance. This new system will get more maintenance.
No, but why, Steve? You could enforce the maintenance payment, which I know this new system it makes it easier to enforce that. You could enforce that without taking money from the person who needs it, couldn't you? So why? Just explain to me what the 4% is for.
So let me give you an analogy. When you have a prescription, you pay towards the cost of it. It's a valuable public service. You pay. Nobody says that's a fine or a penalty. It's just a contribution towards the cost of a valuable public service. 4p in the pound of maintenance is a small part of the cost of running the system. 96p in the pound is going to the family.
Why are you punishing? Why are you punishing?
Not punishment. I mean, why are
you punishing poor children? Because it's the children that this is ultimately hitting, isn't it?
On the contrary, we would benefit poor children.
By taking money from them?
No, because at the moment, often they don't get money. If we have an efficient system...
But why do you need this 4% to enforce it? Why can't you just enforce it anyway without taking money from the children, from the vulnerable families that need that money?
So the bulk of the charge is about enforcement, about trying to make people who won't pay, and then the 4p in the pound is a contribution towards the cost of a very valuable public service that other taxpayers are paying for.
So the 4% isn't part of the enforcement. That's just like your fee.
Right.
That's just your fee.
Exactly.
And do you think that that's fair to take 4% off of single-parent families that are really struggling to pay your fee?
It's actually a relative... as I say, it's about £1 a week. Yes, it's absolutely fair, because who is paying for this service? The taxpayer, who might also be struggling on a low income. So we're saying 4p in the pound towards this service, but we're trying to make sure most people don't pay these fees at all by supporting families to do things directly. And that's really the outcome that we're getting, and hopefully in the majority of cases we expect we'll get.
Steve, thank you very much indeed. Steve Webb, Minister of State at the Department for Work of Pensions, 08459 455 555. I'm glad Steve cleared up exactly how much 4% is, as we're struggling with that. 08459 455 555 if you want to have your say.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Queuing at the moment on the Great North Road just before the Black Cat roundabout. The M1 heading southbound, very heavy at the moment on the sensors between Junction 10 Luton Airport and Junction 9 from Redbourne. Some major roadworks continuing there, causing delays. It's queuing at the moment on the M25 heading anti-clockwise between Junction 21A for St Albans and Junction 15 the M4. And queuing at the moment in Hemel Hempstead on the A41 London bound between the Hemel Hempstead turnoff and Junction 20 for Kings Langley. In Boreham Wood, very slow on the Barnet bypass between Barnet Lane and Mill Hill Circus. So far on the trains, no reported problems or delays. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much indeed. I could understand the penalising of the parent that is refusing to pay maintenance. That's kind of a deterrent. That's either you pay up or it's gonna cost you more money. Can someone explain to me, because Steve Webb there couldn't, can someone explain to me why you would penalise the parent of the child, the one that should be receiving the money? Can someone clear that up? 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
With the headlines, I'm Simon Oxley. Thousands of single parents will receive letters this week warning of new charges if they want to use a government agency for child maintenance payments. Buckinghamshire County Council is putting up signs in parks and play areas asking people to avoid smoking. Earlier this year, signs saying young lungs at play were approved in southwest Hertfordshire. And the problem of traveller horses getting killed at the roadside in Hertfordshire is at crisis level, according to a charity. The local branch of the British Horse Society says more than 40 have been been removed from the A414 corridor in the last year.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
England's cricketers have made a losing start to the summer, with Sri Lanka winning last night's 2020 International at the Oval by 9 runs. England reached 174 for 7 in reply to the tourists' 183 for 7. Despite Alex Hale's 66, Owen Morgan's side finished just short of their target.
Today, positive Alex Hale's continued great form. He loves the international stage and sort of, if anything, struggled to get the strike a little bit, which was disappointing. But again, Harry Gurney on debut, another huge positive.
Couple of positives there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not all bleak.
Watford are being linked with Czech goalkeeper Marek Štek, who is leaving Yeovil after their relegation from the Championship. Meanwhile, the former coach of Italian side Udinese is to become a technical supervisor of Watford, as well as Udinese and the other Pozzo family-owned club Granada in Spain. Francesco Guidolin's new role was announced yesterday at a press conference in Italy. Milton Keynes Dons have announced a pre-season friendly at home to Nottingham Forest on Sunday, July the 27th, which will also be a testimonial match for captain Dean Lewington. Yesterday, the Dons confirmed Richie Barker as head of coaching on a permanent basis. The former Crawley and Portsmouth boss assisted manager Carl Robinson following the departure of Gary Waddock. And tickets for the Commonwealth Games go back on sale this morning at 10 o'clock. Organisers were forced to close their hotline last week after technical problems which resulted in some callers being charged for getting an engaged tone. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 9.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It was interesting speaking to Steve Webb, Minister of State at the Department for Work and Pensions there. He didn't give me a particularly satisfying reason on why the single parent, the mum or the dad, who is claiming child support, child maintenance, should be penalised with the 4%. I can understand why the person who's paying should perhaps have to pay a fee, because the only reason they're paying is that that they've refused to pay initially. They've kind of ignored all the polite measures, and so this child maintenance service have had to get involved. And yeah, they should. Of course, that person should pay. It will act as a deterrent. It will put people off not paying and therefore avoiding their responsibilities, and then that pays for the service. But why should the single mum or the single dad who is dependent on that maintenance then have to be penalised with 4%? That's 4 pence in the pound, guys, in case you were curious. Some of those parents will probably be able to afford it, but a lot of them won't be able to afford it. We know that a lot of families at the moment, every penny counts. And so to take 4 pennies out of that pound, to charge them £20, well, it seems a little bit unfair. I do genuinely think that you judge a society by the way it looks after its vulnerable people. Sick, young and old, and people who are struggling to feed their kids. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. Darren's in Bedford. Morning, Darren.
Good morning, Ian.
Darren, what would you like to say?
Just a few things, really. I've listened to a lot of the comments coming across the airwaves. The system in itself isn't fair on a lot of reasons. You have, like, say, for instance, in my situation, I mean, everything is circumstantial and everybody's situation is different.
Yeah, what's your situation?
But in my situation, I was in a previous relationship with a woman. We had our children. Things broke down between us. I went my way, she went hers. I was obviously paying a certain amount of monies to her, but because of the anger and everything between us, she'd sometimes use the CSA in her own means of ways of getting to me. And what I mean by that is, in some instances, I mean, we're probably going to turn around and say, well, you're quite naive, Aaron, if you decided to do it this way. But in some instances, I would have paid her payment in cash, which she would have asked me to do, because she would have refused to have given me her bank details. So I would have done what I was asked to do. Then I'd be getting letters from the CSA a few months later stating that the such and such person hasn't received any funds from you. I'll then ring back and state I have paid my certain funds to the party or the person. and she's basically gone on to state that I've not paid her a penny, which means I then not have a leg to stand on.
Well, you should have written a cheque, Darren.
Well,
you should have written a cheque.
You say writing a cheque. I mean, how many people write cheques these days, really?
Well, have you got a chequebook?
We live in. No, I haven't.
Well, then you ask Darren. No. I write. I've got 2 chequebooks. I can never find them, but I've got them. If you when you're giving money to someone, and if you know that someone can be malicious, then you need evidence you've given them. And if you can't do a bank transfer, you phone up your bank. You say, "Hello, I'm Darren in Bedford. Could I have a chequebook, please?" They'll send you one out for free, and then you write her a cheque. That's all you got to do. Send a cheque in the post. You haven't even got to see her then.
Well, what sort of? How do I know the children are going to be getting their money?
Well, that's not down to you. That you have to trust.
How's that not down to me?
Why would the mother not be giving them spending the money on her children? How do you know she's going to spend it on her children anyway? If you give her 200 quid in cash,
that's a good point raised. But
exactly
at the same time, if you're giving someone money, you're just giving them money, aren't you? You're expecting that person to do well by your children.
How do you know that, though? She might go off and spend it on handbags.
Because of the individual that I'm. In another sense, what she does with the money is her choice.
Well, hang on a second. I just said that, and you poo-pooed it, and now you're throwing that argument back at me. You can't have it both ways, Darren.
Look, the point is this. The point I'm trying to raise is this. Yeah, like I'm paying 20% in tax and national insurance to the government.
Yeah.
I then ring up the CSA. The CSA turn around to me and say, right, we're going to take on this case for you. You have to pay this. So you have to pay this amount. So you have to pay 20% of the amount that you earn after tax and national insurance.
Yeah.
In some instances, it's not affordable.
Here we go. This is what I knew we were getting at. The CSA asked... Did the CSA ask you to contribute more money than you were contributing?
No, the CSA have asked me to contribute more money than I'm able to contribute.
So the CSA
that I'm actually earning.
Without going into figures, because I'm sure you wouldn't want to, but the CSA...
I'm quite happy to.
OK, how much were you giving in cash to your ex-partner?
£240 a month.
OK, for how many kids?
For 3 children.
Hey. And how much did the CSA want you to give a month?
£460 a month.
Right, and do you think that's too much?
I don't think it's too much if I've actually earned the money to give it.
Well, how much were you earning?
After everything was paid and everything was left, I was probably, put it this way, I'm not able to live.
No. How much were you earning each month after tax?
It's never the same amount of money.
OK, so but it was more than the 400 quid?
No. Not all the time it wasn't, no.
OK, but sometimes it was more than the 400 quid, sometimes it wasn't, but it worked out about...
Probably twice in the month of the year I probably would have earned a little bit more.
OK. Do you think that 200-odd quid a month for 3 kids, do you think that's enough?
No, I don't think it's enough.
Then why were you paying so little?
But please allow me to finish. No, I don't think it's enough, but I also believe that if you're not earning that amount of money that they're trying to take off of you, then how are you supposed to pay what you haven't got?
You're supposed to find it and support your kids, Darren. You're supposed to support your kids. It's really 200-odd quid a month for 3 kids. That's not good enough, is it?
Well...
It seems to me the issue you've got, and I suspected this when you phoned up, was not that they said, oh, you haven't paid money when you had, but that they wanted you to pay more money than you had agreed with your ex-partner, and you balked at that. And with the greatest of respect, which means I'm probably going to be slightly disrespectful, don't sound like you were paying enough, Darren. For 3 kids, it sounds like you got off lightly if you're only paying 200 quid.
I don't believe I have. I don't believe that's the case.
Well, you try looking after 3 quid. You try looking after 3 kids on 200 quid.
If I'm in a relationship with another person and we also have a family, I have an obligation to look after that family also.
But you also have an obligation... That doesn't diminish your responsibility for the first set of children.
No, it doesn't. But it also doesn't mean that you rob from one family to give to another.
It doesn't. So how much money did you have for your second family each month?
How much money do I have, or...
Yeah, how much money? So how much money does your second family get each month?
What, from who?
From you, Darren, from you.
Why don't they get what I'm able to give them, because I live with them?
Right, and how many kids have you got there?
3 children.
Oh, flipping it, Darren. So you've got 6 kids.
Yeah.
And you're begrudging the fact that you've got to pay a little bit more than £200 a month to your first set of kids. There'll be some people...
You're not actually begrudging anything.
Well, it sounds like you are begrudging it. You're complaining about it.
I'm not complaining. I'm trying to raise a point that you can't be made to
be responsible for your children. No one's asking you to make one family suffer. People are asking you to step up to your responsibilities as a father.
In which I am doing.
Begrudgingly.
But how am I supposed to give them something if it's not there to give them? When you ring the CSA and you say to the CSA, I haven't got this amount of money that you're asking me to give you because I never know what I'm going to be earning each month. Their response to me is, well, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to pay what we say.
Why did you have 3 more kids, Darren, if you were struggling to pay for the first 3?
Why does the world go round? I mean,
no. The world goes round because of physics. Goes round of physics.
That really, there's no morals to the situation.
No, I'm not asking. It's not a moral question. I'm just asking, why did you have 3 more kids when you were struggling to pay for the first 3 children?
Good question, but not really the relevant question.
Well, it is relevant, Darren, because if you can't... it is, mate, because if you can't provide for your first 3 children, it could be argued that then having another 3 children... Then arguing that... Then it could be argued that having another 3 children is irresponsible. That's 6 kids, Darren, and you cannot walk away from your financial and your spiritual responsibility.
For having 6 children.
I'm not saying you're irresponsible, I'm saying you've not thought it out properly. And but there will be very few people listening to this who think you actually have a right to complain. Man up and pay up.
Why don't you do a poll on that? To see how many people actually believe that I've got a right or not a right to complain?
Are you sure?
Because I'm not actually complaining. I'm not actually not paying the children. What I'm saying is that the CSA are obviously trying to say that it's right to take from one family to give to the other and to leave the other family with
No, they're not. They're saying you've got to face...
That's what it seems to be to me.
Does your new partner work?
Does she work, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you. So she's providing... So they've got 2 parents providing for the second set of 3 children. And does your previous partner work?
No, she never works days like they work.
No, because she's... How old are the kids?
One of them's 17, one of them's 15, and the other one's 9.
And how long have you been separated?
For quite some time.
OK. She's been looking after 3 kids, mate. She's been looking after 3 kids. To say she's not worked a day's work in her life, I think, is a little bit patronising. So let's look at the...
I don't believe so. When you're someone who's... So what you're saying then, it's correct for me to pay the government over and over and over again. Then I've got to pay tax, national insurance.
Yeah, that's the law. That's the law. Yeah, and you've got to pay for your other kids.
And I also have to pay 20% of my earnings after that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, why can't it be equally?
You've got to pay for your kids.
Why can't it be equally split between both families? That's what I'm asking.
No, because that's nonsense. Because, Darren, we've got to end in a second because we've got travel coming up. But you've got you and your partner now. You're both working. You've got 3 kids. So they are getting the income from 2 parents. Your previous partner with 3 kids, who you said hasn't worked a day's work in her life, she's brought up 3 kids on her own for several years. She isn't working because she's looking after those kids. So you've got to pay for them.
Yeah, which I am doing, but...
Well done.
Her rent's getting paid, her council tax getting paid.
Beautiful. We live in a great society where we protect the vulnerable. Isn't that wonderful?
Well, how's she that vulnerable?
Because she's looking after 3 kids that you don't live with anymore.
My point is this. If she's getting her rent paid, her council tax paid, she's getting all the benefits under the sun...
You're right.
Then she's getting an extra £400 and something on top of that from me.
Yeah.
You see, that's a little bit...
But, Darren, she's not getting that money... Your children are getting that money, do you see? And I find it really incredible that you can complain about giving money to your children.
I'm not complaining about giving money to the children because the children get the money.
Darren, thank you. We've got to end it there. 08459 455 555 is the phone number if you want to give us a call. His ex-partner has never worked a day's work in her life. Oh, yeah, apart from bringing up 3 children.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC 3 Counties Radio.
Very heavy at the moment on the M1 heading southbound between junction 10 Luton Airport and junction 9 for Redbourne. The A1M heading northbound, there's one lane blocked at the moment between junction 3 for St Albans and junction 4 for Hertford due to an accident. And the M25 heading anti-clockwise, queuing at the moment on the sensors between junction 21A for St Albans and junction 15 the M4. In Boreham Wood, very slow moving on the Barnet bypass between Stirling Corner and Mill Hill Circus. And so far looking at the trains, no reported problems or delays. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. 8:47, these are your headlines on the 21st of May. Letters are being sent to thousands of single parents warning them they'll be charged a fee in future if they use a government agency to administer maintenance payments. Buckinghamshire County Council is putting up signs in parks and play areas asking people to avoid smoking. And Prince Charles has criticised the Russian President Vladimir Putin, appearing to compare Russia today and its actions in the Ukraine to Germany under the Nazis. Coming up, we'll speak to Dawn and maybe taking your call, but before that, let's get the weather with Kate.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. It's a beautiful start to the day. We have blue sky and sunshine. Perhaps a little more cloud the further east you go, but at the moment it looks like it's fairly bright over there as well. As we head through the course of the day, there is a slim chance of a shower, but largely dry on the whole. You will be fairly unlucky to get one. And in the sunshine, it will feel really rather pleasant. We're looking at a maximum temperature of 20 Celsius. That's 68 degrees in Fahrenheit. Our weather becomes very interesting once the sun sets. It sets just before 9 tonight, and then we'll notice the cloud thicken through the middle part. We're going to get quite a lively weather front arrive. It's pushing up from the near continent, and with it we've got a fair amount of rain, quite a lot of rain in a short amount of time, to 20 millimetres to 30 millimetres, but also thunder, lightning. The wind will start to pick up as well. Minimum temperature down to around 11 Celsius. That's 52 degrees in Fahrenheit. There may still be a bit of that left around first thing tomorrow morning, but it will soon clear north and eastwards, and it will be dry and bright behind it. Through the afternoon, again, a risk of thunder, maybe a shower, but still feeling quite sticky. Maximum temperature for Thursday, 22 Celsius. That's 72 degrees in Fahrenheit. And that's your forecast.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of Beds, Hearts and Bucks.
Tomorrow afternoon, as part of our big tour, I'm heading to the Buckinghamshire market town of Wendover.
Nick Coffer.
I'll be there from midday, meeting the locals and finding out why it's such a great place to live.
It's just absolutely great. It's got so much to offer.
Plus, I'll discover the local alpaca farm and have a go at making chocolate in the Chocolate Theatre in the centre of the High Street.
Nick Coffer.
Live from Wendover as part of our big tour, tomorrow from midday, here on BBC Three Counties Radio.
08459 455 555, last 10 minutes of the show. If you've been listening for a little while, you would have just heard me speaking to Darren, who's complaining about the CSA. I knew when he came on, I knew what the ultimate point was going to be, and I'm glad we kept him on because we got there in the end. Basically, he begrudged that he was paying something like 230 quid a month for his 3 children. That works out, 80 quid a child a month. OK, that's 20 quid a week per child, right? The CSA had insisted he pays more, up to something like 400 odd quid. I can't afford it. Turned out he had 3 other children with his current partner who both work. Did his previous partner work? She's never worked a day's work in her life. Hang on a second. She's brought up your 3 children, who I think was 17, 15 and 9, for several years. Was I a bit harsh on Darren? Does he have a right to complain? 08459 455 555. James is on the A421. Morning, James.
Morning, Iain.
James, what would you like to say, sir?
Well, first of all, can I just say that the last 10 minutes of your programme are the reason why I listened to Three Counties. That was an absolutely fantastic discussion you had with Darren.
Thank you very much.
And I think I'm probably not alone in thinking that he shouldn't only keep it in his trousers, he needs to have it chopped off, mate, because he is the embodiment of what is wrong with this country. People who aren't willing to take responsibility for their own actions. You know, he's talking about why should the second lot of kids go without when the first lot are getting all his money. Well, sorry, he had the first lot of 3 kids first. You know, we go through time in a sort of linear motion, and he already had those responsibilities. If he can't think about that when him and his new missus are doing what they're doing to get the other 3 kids, then that's his problem. You know, it's not the fault of the first 3 kids. It's not the fault of his previous partner. And yeah, if he's not earning enough money, he should get a second job. You know, he should stop going down the pub with his mates. He should stop, you know, getting pizzas and all this sort of stuff, or whatever he's doing to spend his money on luxuries. You know, kids are totally dependent on their parents, you know, and there are some kids that aren't lucky enough to have parents, but most of them depend on their parents to survive. You know, that's just the way the world is. And if he can't sort of get that, the thing I feel most sorry about for those kids is the role model they're going to get from their dad. Not just the fact that they're not getting the money, because, you know, money can come from other sources. Society can give it to your charities, benefits, whatever. But he is an absolutely despicable role model for any kids out there. And I hope that, you know, people out there who are listening and considering having kids listen to that and think about it before they have them.
James, you an excellent point, and do you know what? I think you probably put it a little bit better than I was trying to. You articulated everything I was trying to say in a much calmer fashion. I got a little bit excited with Darren, and James has summed up what I was trying to say in a perfect fashion. Thank you, James. Excellent.
You're not the only one. We're getting lots of phone calls through at the moment with people who want their say on this one. Dawn's been hanging on.
Oh, let's go to Dawn. Dawn, you've been waiting for ages. I do apologise, Dawn.
That's okay.
What would you like to say, Dawn?
Right. First of all, I wouldn't have a problem with the CSA taking 4% or whatever, because at the moment I'd be grateful to get anything at all.
Oh.
I was with my ex-husband for 14 years. We've got a daughter, she's 8. He left when she was 2, and I haven't received, I had the first 2 payments 6 years ago, and then after that he told them that he was made redundant, but I knew that he was still working. He works in the building industry, so unfortunately the building industry is quite rife with people working cash in hand.
Cash in hand, of course, so there's no way of tracing it, yeah.
Well, you say that, but I've given the Child Support Agency the evidence, because when we were going through our divorce and he had to produce some of his bank statements, it showed that he was obviously dealing with cash, but he was putting cash in his bank account, and you could see that he was getting a train ticket to London, so obviously commuting into London to work. And there was large amounts of money coming into his bank account that obviously he wasn't declaring. And I don't understand why the Child Support are not doing more to get the money from people like him. I know I'm not the only one. And it's really frustrating, especially when you see other countries like America. If you don't pay your child support, you go to prison. And I think, personally, they should definitely bring that in this country, because I'm so frustrated. There's no other way for me to try and get this money from him apart from the Child Support Agency, because I can't take him to court, because you have to be earning... Well, he has to be earning over a certain amount of money to be able to take him directly to a court, because otherwise I could get a judge to...
Dawn, do you see your husband? Does he have contact with your daughter?
He was having contact with her, but she's refusing to see him.
Okay.
She's refused to see him for the past year or so, because, I mean, you know, well, she's aware that he doesn't pay the child support, and obviously she knows that, you know, obviously he's got a car, he's got the latest gadgets, iPhones and all the rest of it, and he pays money for the child that he's with his new partner, who's not his actual child, but she feels very... I think frustrated, especially when, you know, I have to go out and work. I'm disabled. I go and work full time because I have to pay the mortgage, which he also left me to pay on my own. You know, if I don't go out and work and bring this money in, you know, we'd end up, you know, probably homeless or whatever. And I want, obviously, to have, you know, the best for her. But, I mean, just to give you an example of how petty, and I think this is the problem with a lot of men, is that they think that paying this child support, it's not going to their children. It's almost like they begrudge having to pay the money to their exes. Yeah. And they think that their exes are going off on shopping sprees.
Oh, you'll be spending on handbags and shoes, of course.
Absolutely. I mean, I think practically every penny I spend, I don't spend anything on myself. I don't remember the last time I bought myself anything. Every time I get something, it goes for my daughter. And
Dawn, I've got to end it there because we're running out of time. We're coming to the end of the show. And as it should, if you're a responsible parent. Dawn, thank you for waiting. I'm just ending because I want to squeeze Errol in. Good morning, Errol.
Good morning.
Errol, what would you like to say?
I think you were a bit harsh with, is it Darren?
Yes.
Yeah, you. I don't think you understand.
Tell me why.
And unless the situation, you're in the situation with the CSA, I don't know if you are, but unless you are in the situation with the CSA, you will never understand.
I wouldn't have 6 kids if I couldn't afford 6 kids, Errol, and I would treat all of my children equally, and I would make sure they were well provided for, and I wouldn't begrudge them a penny. Even if I had to, eat beans on toast, I would make sure my kids were well protected. So what's your problem?
I agree, but
what's your problem?
No, the problem is when CSA says to you, they want X amount. They want £100, and you're only earning £120.
Go and get another job.
Well, if you're working and doing all that you can,
go and get another job.
No, you see, you are being extremely silly.
No, I'm not being silly, Errol. What's silly in providing for your children? Nothing is silly. If they're asking for if they think a certain amount of money is fair, and you negotiate it as best as you can, and you still can't afford it, go and get another job. Sell your car. Do whatever you've got to do.
And how do you get to work and feed yourself?
He should have thought of that before he had another 3 kids, shouldn't he?
No.
Really? Yeah,
it
he should.
doesn't really work like that.
It does, Errol. It does, because if you can't... It does, Errol, because he's got 3 children, he can't afford them, he's had another 3 kids.
Say, for example...
And also, the 3 children he's got now, his
missus...
missus...
Let me say something.
In a second, Errol, his missus has got a job, so they've got 2 incomes, his first 3 kids haven't.
OK, let me give you a scenario with the CSA.
Why are you giving me... Is this a scenario that relates to your life personally?
Yes.
Well, you've got 20 seconds then. Go on.
Oh, I can't give you it then.
All right, then. Give us a call tomorrow. We'll carry on this discussion tomorrow. Sorry, Errol, but I can't understand how anybody in their right mind could argue against providing for your children, particularly when you've had 3 kids. I can't afford them. I know what. Should we have another 3 kids? Well, how does that work? How does that work? And the second set of 3 kids, their mum's got an income already, so they've got 2 incomes. Oh, I'm ending the show on a rather angry note. I do apologise.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The A1M heading southbound, very slow at the moment between Junction 8 for Stevenage and Junction 7. The M1's looking heavy on the speed sensors, heading southbound between Junction 10 Luton Airport and Junction 9 for Redbourne. And the M25 heading anti-clockwise, heavy going between Junction 21A for St Albans and Junction 15 the M4. The M40 London bound, very heavy at the moment between Junction 2 for Beaconsfield and Junction 1A the M25. No reported problems on the trains. Nicola Richards, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Nicola, thank you very much indeed. Well, that was feisty. If you missed Darren's phone call, it'll go into the podcast this week. It certainly got people talking. I just don't understand how a parent can begrudge giving money to their kids. If you've got to take a second job, do it. Anyway, that's it. JVS is up next. I think he might be having a little chitty chat about this as well. I'll be back tomorrow at 6. Until then, from me, ta-ta.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Iain. Good morning. Welcome to the JVS show. I'm Jonathan Vernon-Smith, and yes, indeed, we have changed